Well, hey, 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 welcome back. Happy Friday, welcome back. I'm so sorry, I didn't realize it was quite so late. Still getting myself together. Happy Friday night, everybody. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking and our favorite night. It's our favorite night of the month. It's gallery night tonight. And not only is it gallery night, it is a great. It is one of the greats. It is one that is destined to go down as one of the greatest gallery nights. There is such a fun and varied sort of scope of work and techniques that you're about to see tonight. You're just not going to believe it. It's going to be a great episode. I'm sorry about the delay. I thought I had tons of time over there. Let me first start by saying good evening to everybody. Melissa, it's great to see you. Welcome back and happy Friday night. Crescent Moon Pie, Crescent Moon Pie, Crescent Moon Pie. Hello, everybody. Hope you all had a great weekend. We'll be watching stream in 1 minute. Yeah. Yeah, isn't technology fun, right? Pam, it's great to see you. I'm glad. I was thinking about Molly and why not? Don't know. Don't know. Why not? I noticed there was a lady in our Facebook group, which is Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club. She has the most wonderful, whimsical name. Her name is something like, maybe you're on right now, and I'm not calling you out. I'm so charmed by this name. I feel like I want to write a novel about it. Something like Edith Wenzel, why not? Like, why not, one word. And I keep getting confused, Pam, between don't know, the dog, and why not, the woman. Oh man, I'm glad I have that piece in the show. It's going to be the last piece in the show, so we're gonna see that one last and go out on an incredibly high note because Molly has turned into a remarkable piece. Oh, just catching up on everybody. Cheryl, great to see you. Cheers, my dears. Welcome back. Yep, everybody's hard work for sure. Lots of projects happening right now. It's just amazing how much good work everybody is doing right now. Kaz, great to see you. Happy Friday night. Welcome back. I owe you a message. Judy, great to see you. Looking forward to the show. Me too. Funny on Sundays, right? We won't normally do Sundays, but sometimes it's just the way it works out. Gayla, great to see you. Kirsten, cheers, my dears. Great to see you. I didn't even grab anything. I got an empty cup of not lemonade. We'll see if I can get something later. Melanie, great to see you. Happy Friday from cold and wet Washington. Oh no, well, we are right on the edge. One foot in spring and the other on a banana peel. Soon we're going to be complaining that it is so warm. It's going to be very soon, I promise. And I'll remind you when I start complaining and say, do you remember? It's all going by so fast. Ruth, great to see you in Missouri. Welcome back. Melinda. Melanie, great to see you. You meant Sunday. I know. I almost did the same thing. Linda, cheers, my dears. Great to see you. Karen, great to see you in Black Forest, Colorado. 60 degrees there in bright sun. Ooh, you're having a good time of it over there with 7 to 9 inches of snow and bad wind forecast for tomorrow. God, where you are in Colorado, you must see the most sort of wild swings in weather, because you go from these sunny, almost tropical days to a blizzard, like literally the next day. I remember when I was out there, I meant to take Teddy out on a day trip somewhere, and it was like we were sweating our somethings off, and it was like, whew. I mean, I really was struggling with the heat, and then we couldn't go where we meant to go the next day because there was like a terrible blizzard, and it was like, what, huh? So funny. It's a very diverse sort of temperature range over there. I don't know how you do it. It's so unpredictable. Liza, great to see you. Welcome back. Hey Pamela, how far are you from Bennett's? Okay, I like watching these side conversations because I like to know where everybody is. Liza, you're in Dallas. Great to see you. Goretti, great to see you in Acton, Ontario. I bet it's cold and windy. Oh, I bet, Mom, you remember to log on. Great to see you. Happy Sunday night, gallery night. Good to be with you too. We were together today because we had church this morning. It was such a good service. I should have said first, for all of you women out there, March is what Women's History Month, right? So happy March, happy Women's History Month to all of you ladies out there. We have such rich history in so many areas, and certainly this month I'll be putting a special emphasis on female hookers and pioneers, and we'll talk certainly about Pearl McGowan. But yeah, special emphasis on ladies in the month of March. Pam, Sage Gardens, Ruth, it's 4 hours. Okay. Gail, good to see you in Australia. Good morning. It was a good birthday. You know, I meant to apologize that I didn't log on in the morning because I was thinking I might come on Friday. I was so sick again. I had a sort of renaissance of illness that was unbelievable. I have to admit, I was drinking the night before. I had 2 cocktails, but that shouldn't have been enough to put me into where I was. I brought the kids back and forth to school, but I was in bed the whole day. You know me, you know I am not a laying in bed person. I don't enjoy that kind of, for me, laziness. But it's a stomach something. It's a bad stomach something, and I think I'm pretty good now. But it was I know you all have been there, and you know, I'm not going to give you details. It was absolutely incredible. The one thing that I can say that was nice, well, I mean, to be honest, in retrospect, now that I've done it, there were quite a few nice things about laying in bed all day. But the one that really stuck out was that by the end of the afternoon, because I'd been laying there for hours, the whole day and the whole night, and the whole night before, but you know, I never noticed like the way that the light comes through the window at different times of the day. It shines in different places, and it just looks so pretty. And I'm never in the bedroom. I'm never laying in the bed. So, and it's always dark when I get there, so I never knew that. And then even in the evening when there was no more sunlight, there was the light from the hall, and I have like a big, sort of a tall antique bed, and it's got like acorns on the footboard and headboard. And it was so pretty the way I was laying in bed feeling so sorry for myself. And the way that the light from the hall was coming in and hitting the acorns just made me feel so happy. It was so beautiful. It was like an Andrew Wyeth painting. You know, it was like a shade and shadow. It was just beautiful. It was not worth feeling like that, I'll tell you. But I am better now, and I'm sorry that I didn't even pop onto the computer. I felt like I could not even look at my phone. Everything made me feel pukey. Everything with letters, any noise, everything. It was awful. I'm so sorry. I wanted to check in with you because I did have high hopes of running a pop-up show on Friday, so I'm sorry about that. Joyce, great to see you. You know the dog. It's just hard to remember. Joyce, welcome back. Happy Friday night. Danny, great to see you. Oh, we haven't seen you for a while. Happy Friday night. I hope everything's going well. Hope I didn't miss anything from you. I hope you didn't send something and I missed it. Because I would feel awful. You always do such extraordinary work, and I wouldn't want to miss it. Let's see. Let me just close out. Barbara, great to see you. All creatures great and small. PBS ended last Sunday. So you get to join me. I know my mother had the same thing. As long as that was on, there was no way she was coming on a Sunday. Understandable. I get it. It's a great show. Dave, great to see you. Thank you so much. 53. What? I mean, I don't know. I feel like an infant. It's so immature still. I really do. Crackers and cheddar cheese and hard cider. You're doing a bit of a Plowman's over there, I guess. Right? That's very contained. It's not like a crazy pub burger or something like it's crackers. I mean, it sounds very good. I have to say, it sounds perfect for me right now. Rita, great to see you, my love. Happy birthday to me, and I'm happy to see you. And I can't wait to see you this summer because I know I will. Elaine, great to see you. Oh, super welcome. What a great night to tune in because it is like, I mean, it's a jam-packed episode, and I'm going to go through the slides a little bit faster than usual. Sometimes we take these long detours and talk about technique or something that's like it or things we've seen before. I'm going to try to stick to the script tonight, which is the list of the things that I have put into our slideshow because they're all exceptional, and I don't want to skip anything, and I don't want to run way over either. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. Wendy, great to see you. It's a warmer week there in Western Pennsylvania. That is good news. I'm only a baby, Gail. Thank you. Danny, oh, you did send something. Oh no, Danny, how did I miss it? I am so sorry. It'll be the first thing that goes into the next one. Oh, Danny, I'm so sorry. Your work is always amazing. I don't know how I did that. You were probably really good and sent it on the early side, and I screwed it up. Danny, I'm so sorry. It will be the first thing in the next one. I promise. I'm so sorry. All right. Gallery night. So, this is really the February gallery night. It's the beginning of March, but it's just the way that the days landed, isn't it? So, we're going into March, and I'm just going to jump right in. We have lots of news, ribbon candy hooking. We've got lots of things going on. There's lots of products, and the Magpie is about to come out. I just proofed it for Judy. Everything is on schedule. We're doing great. Lots of announcements. But let's talk about all that stuff tomorrow, because I'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will look at the new issue of Rug Cooking Magazine. So we'll do that together tomorrow. But tonight, it's just a fun, casual party night. So let's come over to our gallery and let's look at our first pieces. And the first ones I've got in there are from my good buddy, Kathy Lynch. Oh, Sharon, great to see you. Is it freezing there? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, we are getting such a mishmash, right? Such a mishmash of different things right now. It's cuckoos. Now, you know the name Kathy Lynch, right? She's my buddy up in New Hampshire. An absolute master of primitives, like primitives with a twist, right? Not just straight up primitives, but primitives with a twist. Because when we think about primitives, right? When we think about what a primitive rug cooking piece looks like, it's not necessarily that it's just folk art, but that there's a certain color palette associated with a primitive. And that palette is usually very sort of rich and earthy, isn't it? It's like there's lots of browns, there's lots of neutrals. Kathy always does primitives with a twist and always does something unexpected. I think there's 3 pieces from Kathy I'm going to show you now. I think this is Easy Scrolls, a Lizanne Miller pattern done in a number 7. So I think that's this one here, Scrolls. That would make sense. I think so anyway. Yes, it's got to be. So charming. So this is a primitive in that it is kind of design-wise, it feels like an adaptation of, for example, an oriental carpet. A carpet that would have come out of the East, a variety of a prayer rug, that kind of a carpet, right? That kind of a historical, heavy, antique carpet, because we're seeing those familiar motifs, we're seeing the scroll work, we're seeing the very sort of ornate shapes that we associate with the Far East. So it has all of those tropes, but yet it's done in these kinds of blues and grays, more like a piece of Delftware than something that comes from the Far East, right? Indigos. So very, very controlled, very narrow color palette, but very vibrant, right? That nice light gray background, lots of hit or miss. You see the kind of swirling marble cake in the background, nice kind of Wedgwood border and navy scrolling, right? A little bit of outlining. It's very bold. It reminds me of ironwork, like something you would find on the gate to a fancy mansion, that kind of thing. It's a very simple design, but it's done in such unusual colors. It becomes a very unusual piece and is super, super, super charming. Really lovely. This is another sweet piece. Kathy, you always have the most adorable hangers to hang stuff on. We've talked about these hangers. They are such a lot of fun. And you can make these hangers if you still can find a wire hanger. That's the thing, isn't it? If you can find a wire hanger, you can even keep the top the way it is, and you can cut a part of it if you want to kind of rearrange the metal and put swirls in it or whatever. There's so many things that you can do. You could just get wire, like heavy gauge wire, get your pliers, twist it, because you can always curl the little handle part on top to hang it on a nail or whatever, doorknob or whatever you got going. Kaz is asking Kathy whether this is your pup. Let's see. I think I know the answer, Kaz. It is super cute. This is a Dion Fitzpatrick pattern. And she refers to it as Lady and Her Dog done in number 6. So I'm not sure if that's the actual name, but I think this is an existing pattern. And there is something so evocative and peaceful about this composition, isn't there? Just the simplicity of the characters, the companionship of the woman with the dog, right? Good buddies, happy to sit for a moment together. Ryan, great to see you. Happy Friday night. I love the tweediness of the woman's coat and her matching hat, right? There's something very fine about her. She's wearing something very fine and matching, and she doesn't have sneakers on, right? She's got some nice shoes on, it looks like. It's just such a sweet piece, walking together, and we're seeing their backs, which is a great way. It's a great primitive composition because we eliminate the need to hook the face, which is always a difficult endeavor, isn't it? When you need to try to put detail or character into a face, you can not and keep the face anonymous and blank. You can put the face into profile, so you only in part need to deal with it, or you can do something clever like this and show us the story of the two characters kind of walking toward the horizon. There are some lovely trees reaching out on the horizon. It looks like a very mild kind of bleak but winter type day. It's a charming composition, and it is always nice and really fitting with the Dion Fitzpatrick pattern to see this great combination of solids and tweeds, patterned wools, right? Absolutely beautiful piece. Super, super charming. And Kathy's third piece is a Caswell block. So for those of you, I know you've all heard, but just in case you haven't, because it is a big deal, the project that we're doing at Ribbon Candy Hooking for this whole year, or for the best part of the year, is the Caswell Carpet Challenge. Now, for those of you, I'll just say this quickly, for those of you who don't know and are just tuning in for the first time, the Caswell carpet is embroidered, so with a needle, not with a hook, immensely large carpet, like enormously large carpet that was done by one young woman called Zerua Guernsey. And it was done in the middle 19th century. You know, it might have been earlier. I think it's earlier than that, isn't it? I think it's a little bit earlier than that. I think it's the early 19th century. Well, I'll have to check my notes. You were there for the shows too, right? We remember what we're talking about. But it is this immense carpet that was embroidered with a needle. And it was done as kind of a project, right? Before she married and moved to her own home. And she actually didn't take it with her. It was made for the floor that it was put on. It is absolutely gorgeous, and it's made up of something like 55 blocks that are all designed by her. And I have been in touch with, and I'm in a holding pattern right now, but the carpet was made, and I think the town was called Castleton, Vermont, isn't it? I'm looking for that book on the cat, but I put it way over there. Castleton, Vermont. And the Castleton, Vermont Historical Society now includes Zerua's house. I'm not sure if the main part of the society is housed in Zerua, in the Guernsey house, but I think it might be. In any case, because we've been working on this project of everybody's just doing whatever blocks appeal to them. I have not done any yet, but I will do some. And some people have done many. You'll see Jessica Troyer's done, I think, like 16 or maybe even 19, 20, a lot. So a lot of people have done many. You can do as many as you want. My great sort of passion project for this year, as far as a show, this year or even early next year, I've been in touch with the Castleton Historical Society and said to them, look, we're putting together these blocks. Now, the carpet itself has been at the Folk Art Museum in Manhattan for many, many years, and it has not been on display for many, many years. It's such a large thing. They really have to plan for it, and there are no plans to display it. So I thought, what a wonderful thing it would be with us all doing our squares. There's at least 100 squares done already, at least. I thought, what a wonderful thing to bring the display there for a season. Thank you so much. I didn't have time to get anything. Okay. Cheers, my dears. Got my water. I've learned my lesson. I'm not drinking anything anytime soon. Anyway, I was hoping we could put up a display in Castleton because I thought we would be like possibly even displaying this stuff in the house where this thing was made. So if you're interested in the Castleton, in the Caswell Carpet Project, check Ribbon Candy Hooking or check our Facebook group, Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club. There should be a link in this video too to the Ribbon Candy Hooking store. On the main page, on the home page, you'll see a link to all of the patterns. There's tons. So people are making them, and we do have an end game in mind. And it doesn't matter if you don't want to display yours or whatever. You can just join in the fun. There's also a Facebook group that Jeannie Coates devoted to the Caswell Carpet Project. So people are posting their progress. And it's just a lot of fun, and it's just another way you can dig in, do something, connect with other people. You know, it's all such a lot of fun. Thank you so much. So this is the one that Kathy Lynch has done so far. This is number 15. So it's, you know, I'm not naming them because then I attach my language and sort of my aesthetic onto a block that is Zerua's. So I'm doing them by number. This is number 15, and it's just absolutely stunning. I'll show you the line drawing for this immediately after, but all of these blocks were done in browns, roses, little tiny bit of indigo blue, little tiny bit of green, but predominant color brown, 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 and more brown. 1832. Thank you, Wendy. And one of the things that I'm noticing that people are doing with these blocks is they're doing them in different colors. And I think that's amazing. I'm offering them on Ribbon Candy Hooking in 2 sizes if you have me make them, like a smaller and a larger. But there's also the digital download, and then you could do it any size you want. You could also place several together, like a Baltimore album quilt, and do them all together. Sorry. Absolutely beautiful. Kathy, this is gorgeous. And I agree. The blues, Kaz, are just stunning. Blue and yellow are opposite colors on the color wheel. So, you know, this is a super complementary piece. It's working really well. You can see by the size of the cut that this is a really primitive piece. But it's incredible how much detail you can get when it's a fairly simple composition. Oh, sorry. Let me drink some water. This is a fairly simple composition, right? So I'm doing the designs very literally according to the real carpet. You don't have to do them literally. I'm giving them to you literally. Now, this is a little different, right? A little bit different, but I'm not sure if she simplified any of it. She simplified some of it on the left, a little bit maybe. You do whatever you want. You bring whatever you want to these designs. I want to see your interpretation. I don't want to see Zerua's piece that, well, I wouldn't mind seeing a replica of it done, right? If you want to do a replica, that would be actually great for reference too. And their originals certainly are beautiful. But if you have something else in your heart, do something else. Make it absolutely your piece, right? That's the main thing, that it has you in it. Linda Schultes Hoffman, you are killing me lately. Every time Linda has been going through these sort of cycles of creativity that are incredible. I mean, incredible. Like these great, you know, vast pendulum swings. You know, considering different time periods, different design eras. It's been so much different work, Linda, in the last like year. I mean, it's incredible. Oh, your work has always been amazing, but it's so different. It's so different lately. So starting with this one, this is the kitty. This is the kitty, and it will be a pillow. She is yarn and cut wool. And Linda writes, Deanna, the background is an inadvertent but direct nod to your beautiful split blooms pattern. I am so glad. Do it. Do it. When I went to see Melinda Bird in Maryland to learn how to make a Rhea rug with her, if you remember those episodes, I drew the split blooms directly onto the backing material because it's an easy pattern and it's a very mid-century modern, right, MCM feeling design. So this thing, we're not even going to refer to it as split blooms because I use the device for split blooms and you all use it for whatever you want. It's a device that works great with mid-century modern design, particularly background design. I'm so glad that you thought of it because it worked perfectly with this piece. Yes, you can take credit for it. Yes, you can. You must take credit for it. This is absolutely beautiful. In the mid-century modern, we were looking at so many shapes that were like, think about a drive-in movie, or like if you're lucky, I'm lucky to have several of those near me still running. But if you have anything near you, like an old diner, the palette shapes, right, the sort of asymmetrical boxes, rectangles. The stretched ovals, right? They were all such, the boomerangs, they were all such unusual shapes, very different shapes for that time. We moved way away from regular geometry during the MCM period, and it's very easy to capture those shapes, particularly in tandem with the bottleneck cat, right? The cat that looks like a bottle, like a Chianti bottle, but has like a regular cat head. These two things together smack of mid-century modern and make such a cheerful composition. Pam says she omitted the flowers. Oh, the Caswell carpet. And Wendy says of this one, I love the painterly drips around the cat. I agree. That's a really great effect. The little drips of different color. It almost looks on the bottom right like there's an echo of the cat's head. It's not, because it's a different angle, but it's curious and it draws your eye, and the colors draw your eye, because this palette is both sort of a classic primaries palette, but there are a few colors that do hit mid-century modern, right? That aqua color, if you think about vacation posters from that period, and black. The black and the white were quite new colors to use in the mid-century. You think, no, that can't be true. It is true. It is true. With commercial art and graphic art, we didn't see a lot of black and white until that time. Everything was very color driven, and we went back to basics, right, to extremes during this time. So yeah, use the black, use the white, use those aquas, those tropical, those tiki colors, right? Pulling inspiration from lots of different places. But Linda, you came up with an absolutely beautiful, beautiful piece here. And the next piece is another really unusual animal piece, stunning fox that is done in cut wool, jersey knit. So by jersey, that means stretchy, right? Stretchy material, and velvet. Oh, I can see the velvet. When I look in a little bit, I can see the velvet. You know, Linda always designs her own stuff, and it's always like this great storytelling quality. It's always got a combination of very strong folk art backbone, right? And these really inspired touches that are, I think Wendy used a great word, painterly. Right? It's like they're always such fusion pieces of something that is flat folk and something else that really brings you in. In the last one, it was like those really stylistic, shapy motifs, right, on the sides. Really unusual, of the time, fit in with that piece. Same thing with this piece. We've got the fox as the main character, this butterfly kind of skidding across the sky, and some beautiful and quite realistic, I think those are cone flowers, right? But not just that. Bringing us back to our heritage as rug hookers. You know, as rug hookers, our eyes are always looking for those signs, right, of those early antique rugs. They're stitched into our hearts and our thoughts, right? When we think of rug hooking, it's like, where's the hit or miss? Did anybody run out of any color? You're looking for all of these little touches that we know exist when you hook rugs, even now, right? You run out of stuff. And Linda she's a thrifty hooker. So she's not getting wooled material. She's cutting stuff up. And she will encounter the same problems that people in the 19th century encountered when they ran out of material and had to go to a different material. So when we're looking at Linda's backgrounds, and could have been the same thing with the drips on the cat, when we're looking at her backgrounds, we're seeing very hit or miss backgrounds, because she's moving from color to color and using what she's got. So in this sky, we see a real breakdown of darks and lights with the blues to the light. But man, does that ever create a mysterious and romantic sky, doesn't it? That inky black sky for the fox. He loves to be out at night, making his rounds. And then the cone flowers, even though they're a nice bright yellow, they do seem like they're they're in moonlight. It doesn't seem like they're under the bright sun. It seems like they're in the moonlight. And all of the colors around it, intentionally dark, except there are some real crazy bursts of a little bit of yellow, bright green, like a spearmint color, the red, right? You're seeing all those little bursts of color. It's such an exciting piece, right? There's a little bit of confusion of the time of day, brights and darks. I love it. That's theater, right? That's theater. The fox is so graphic and so sharp, and so much of the rest of it isn't, right? These are all choices, and these are things that if you are a person who is very technical, you don't like to work in this style, right? Technical people would not like to work in this style. If on the sort of spectrum of creative to technical, knowing that we are all somewhere in the middle, right? None of us are all of one or all of the other. But if you are way more toward the creative side, you're probably looking at these pieces and saying, oh, I really like the graphic nature of it. But I also like the fact that you don't have to give up the idea of doing any of it realistically, because the flowers do have an impressionist feel, and they are done in a much more realistic vein than the rest of it. So you don't have to commit to one or the other just because you lay down the fox, right? And you're like, well, it's graphic now. It doesn't have to be. right? It doesn't have to, it only has to be if it's going to drive you crazy. That's the only scenario in which it would have to be one or the other, right? But it doesn't have to be either less or more, either plain or grand. Is it always or is it never? And I love Stephen Sondheim. I don't know if you got that reference, but it's a great song. Point is, it doesn't always have to be one or the other, does it? It could be both. And isn't it nice when it's both, right? This is another great piece from Linda Schultes Hoffman, and this piece is, let me see, Little Bird is also going to be a pillow. I think that's all we know about Little Bird. Little Bird is charming. I fooled with the colors a little bit because he was a little bit dark when he came to me. I fooled with the colors, but he is very blue. So he's got a lot of that sea blue, like the cat in the background. He's also got a lot of royal blue. You see with Linda's work, it's a real mixture of materials. I'm pretty sure Linda does all of the cutting with scissors. So when you're working with scissors, you can decide, same thing as with style, right? Style, color, cut, all of it, right? It sounds like we're choosing our next hairstyle. All of it comes down to how do you want it. The belly of the bird, right? Maybe it's I don't know what that bird would be. Maybe it's a whimsical bird, but he does have a red belly. It's a bluebird with a red belly, and it's very wide cut. So it might just look wide because of the nature of the material. I mean, it is wide, but it might be the kind of material that would work better wide, right? And some of the other cuts I'm seeing are much thinner. I'm seeing some materials that are a little bit thready and a little bit more difficult to use. To hook with, but Linda is never intimidated or worried about a material playing her and giving her a hard time. And it's good to start in that frame of mind that, some materials are harder than others, but they all give you a specific and unique pattern. And once you start hooking it, if it's a difficult thing to hook with and you love the pattern, you got to stick with it, don't you? But just a little flecks of color, the little sprinkles, what as a Rhode Islander I would call jimmies. The little flecks of color are so interesting, so beautiful. Seeing the little stylized roses on the ground, whimsical kind of what look like sort of antennae on top of the bird. I mean, it's a charming and fun piece. Yeah, I love all of these pieces. I think there's one more from Linda. They're all whimsical, right? That's the word that comes to mind. This piece is a piece that she refers to as the skull spiral. This is a much larger piece, 23 by 25. I also love this piece. I love this piece. Rita, I wonder if you love this piece. It has such a dream quality to me. I feel like I could see this, and again, some of Linda's tropes. Like I'm looking at the moon on the top left and I'm seeing the sprinkles, the little jimmies in the background, just one loop here, one loop there. Doesn't that really add something? I could see this on the cover, for example, a pack of tarot cards or a journal, right? Your diary for next year. It's such a sort of new agey. I don't mean that in a bad way, but very spiritual piece. And there's a lot of storytelling going on within it. And the fact of using the spiral shape, which is almost like a chambered nautilus, right? A little bit. And using each of those compartments as cells or fields in which to continue the story. I knew it was right up your alley. What a great idea when you think about it, because it is a spiral. So is a chambered nautilus, a seashell, right? When you think of all the different things that you could use in a stylized way, in a very graphic way, to lay down and then lay out different symbols, question mark, what does it mean? What's going to happen? The heart, the moon, the diamond, the eyes, right? This is very Friedensreich Hundertwasser, too, if you remember the class that we did last month. All of these different symbols that mean something to me, mean something to you. Probably only Linda knows what all of them mean because this is her piece. But what a great and creative layout for a piece. Kaz, she's getting like, and I don't want to say better and better, it's just more and more diverse. And I find that exciting because I do keep track of this. I know there's a lot of us and a lot of different people send stuff in. And I love to look at all of it, and I do remember it. I try, that's one of the things that means a lot to me, is to try to remember what people's work looks like, so that if there is a challenge or something and I feel like I haven't heard from someone in a while and I think this is right up their alley, I need to reach out to this person. It's important for me, doing what I do, to be able to get sort of a baseline on our group and remember who does what. It is important. And it's important because it's fun for me to be able to kind of track, I don't want to say improvement. It's not improvement. It's just changes in style, right? I think we all do great work. As soon as we start working, we do great work that reflects ourselves. Technically, we can become better. In terms of design, maybe we just move to different subjects because we feel differently than we did last month or last year or a decade ago. We feel differently. So we feel like doing different stuff, right? I certainly know that for myself in the last year, after 5 years of trying to do designs with the thought of will they sell, and spending a lot of time hooking things that I loved, but they wouldn't have been things that I would have chosen for myself, thinking and hoping that they make money, and then sometimes they're good and sometimes nobody buys them. It finally, for me, I'm like, dang it, it's time. I'm just going to work on stuff that I really love now. And I'll tell you, business is like, there's a lot going on in the world right now. So business isn't like perfect, but all things considered, it's still pretty good. And I think it means a lot when you choose projects or design projects yourself that really fit you in that moment, right? Because we can tell. We can tell when your heart is really in it. It's really apparent. And for me, with Linda, her heart has always been in it. It's just the subjects have changed over time. I think that's really interesting. Now, Kaz, I'm coming to you next. Let's see. Kaz, you sent me, I want to be sure that this is for reading. Yes, this is for reading, because I get such nice messages too that I don't want to read something I'm not supposed to read. So Kaz wrote, "Happy birthday, dear Deanna. I hope you will have a great time with your family on Friday." That was my day in bed, but I did have a nice time with my mom and my sister at the sushi restaurant yesterday. I managed to keep that down without too much trouble. I've been enjoying the shows about dyes and dyeing. Very good feedback. Thank you. I've been enjoying them too. I've got that whole stack of dye books there because we will return to that. Kaz says, "I have been busy punching rugs." Punching. Here are some of the rugs that I've worked on over the last few months. So let me come over here next. And Kaz, you also have big news. Do you want to tell your news in the thread since you're on? I'll leave it to you because it is your news. Colleen, great to see you. Are you back in Maryland? Gosh, it seems like it was forever and it's already. Welcome back. Oh, I'm so happy you're back. I'm so happy you're there. Sending so much love. Now, this is, yes, oh my gosh, Kaz, you are so good. You did this challenge. I have not been on that page for a while. I feel awful. I made this, Kaz said, I made this 2x3 foot rug to become an Oxford Punch Needle certified instructor. There she goes. She put it into the thread. I didn't want to say your news for you. Kaz just told me, was it yesterday, Kaz, that you had just heard that you are now a certified Oxford Punch Needle instructor. Super congratulations to you. I'm going to come back to you on camera. You so deserve it. You are such a great person to be a teacher. You are such a kind, loving, thoughtful, talented, and patient person. You are a perfect person to be a teacher. I knew that it would all work out, but I'm so happy to hear it officially, of course. It is perfect for you. I love this too. So 2x3 foot. The idea for the rug came from the recipe challenge. So this is something that we did in Patreon. We threw out this idea a while back about opening up a recipe book. And Helen, great to see you in Ottawa. Great to see you. Happy Friday night and welcome. We threw out, let me say to your face, Helen, welcome. It's great to see you. We threw out this challenge for Patreon members that was like, one day I went to an old bookstore. It was Parnas's bookstore on Route 6A, the Old Kings Highway, and I think it's Barnstable on Cape Cod. And we did a video, and I got down in the recipe section. I just took a book. I took a book off the thing, and it was a recipe book. And I just opened to a page and said, "Oh, and it was like a crazy, it was for me a crazy recipe. Like it was something with maple. I haven't done it yet. It was something with maple, and I thought, ooh, that sounds great. And so the idea was to go through your recipe books and to find a recipe that sounded crazy, because some recipes are crazy. Like, what is red flannel hash? I mean, I still don't know what that is, but some recipes have very charming names. And we've done a lot with food. Remember, a couple Thanksgivings ago, we did that whole glorious food swatch set. It was a massive swatch set, and each color was based on a recipe from a different restaurant somewhere in the United States. That was a lot of fun. But Kaz, you took this recipe challenge and you ran with it, and you did this piece that is so extraordinary, so different. You found your recipe in Midwest Living, and the recipe was for a Badger State muffin. And Badger State muffin is a cranberry muffin with apples and nuts. And you wanted to design a rug that was based on what your state, Wisconsin, represents. So the state animal is a badger, and the badger is trying to steal the muffin. Cranberry is the state fruit. So in this case, it's cranberry muffins. The robin is the state bird. Honey, for Wisconsin, honeybees are the state insect, and wood violets are the state flower. So all of these different things that are associated with the state of Wisconsin have been incorporated into the recipe. Isn't that so much fun, Leah? Great to see you. So much fun. It's such a great challenge, isn't it? To have to cobble together all of the different motifs that you want to include, but they're all important, aren't they? So Cass says, thank you for your advice to break the borders with the elements in order to soften the frame. Yes, that's always a good move, right? With a storytelling piece with lots of motifs, it is a good idea to break the border. Just because it kind of spills out and reaches out to the viewer a little bit more accessibly, you know what I mean? And Cass says, I use different sizes of punch needles, as you would, right, when you're working on the certification. Rug size, worsted, novelty yarns, and wool strips. The techniques were sculpting, shading, and basket weaving, reverse punching. And I guess the sculpting is that big bee, isn't it, Kaz, that looks like a Waldoboro? And, ooh, Kaz, what is the technique on the little vase, on the little white vase? That's got to be, did I just say, basket weaving? That's got to be basket weaving. That is so extraordinary. Yeah, the big bee. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. That must have been loud. Wow, that's extraordinary. In September of 2024, I completed the Oxford Punch Instructor program at Advanced Instructor Kim Scallan's place in Hugo, Minnesota. And here you said, I'm awaiting the result on that. And we've since got the good news. The result is that you are a certified teacher. You made it through, and you so deserve it. Cass says, reverse punching basket weaving for the base. That is just stunning. What a beautiful effect. I love the tweedy body of the badger as well. This is such a charming piece. It's absolutely beautiful. Kaz, I absolutely love it. You sent a few pieces that are all extraordinary. Let's look at the next one. This is, now let me see. In January, I took Simone Voivodin's Snowflake Zoom class and punched directly onto a piece of wool. I used different types of yarn, including chenille, and embellished with beads. It is not easy to punch to show the show the fine and delicate lines of the snowflakes. No, so that would get lost. But you know what remains is that lofty, fluffy, three-dimensional feel. So yeah, so punched snowflakes are not lacy, but they still have that charm. They have that vintage chenille charm. In this case, you punch directly onto wool. Now, Kaz, are you using the fine needle? So in Oxford language, that would be the regular. No, not the regular. That would be the fine. In not Oxford language, it would be the worsted punch needle. Different words for different brands. But are you using the smaller punch needle? Because I'm imagining fine needles. Okay, yeah, you're using like the two finest ones. Because I'm imagining when you're punching into wool, even though wool is a woven, it does not have a lot of give, does it? Jessica, great to see you. You just joined with your elderberry tea. That sounds so Agatha Christie. I love it. Kaz said yes. She used number 13 and number 14 for the Oxford needles. Yeah, I mean, it's so beautiful. And with a piece like this, you already have the background done, right? It's the blue. So you're just experimenting with the shapes of the snowflakes and you are creating, um, yep. So, yep. Yep. So, Ruth, you got that answer, I'm sure, right there. 13 and 14. You know, I love the shapes. I get what you're saying, but I do love the shapes. I love the three-dimensional feel. It does remind me of like mid-century modern stuff. You know, the really fluffy, high pile, three-dimensional snowflakes, I think are super, super charming. And then adding those beads to them, I think that's a great touch. I think that's a great inspiration. And at the end of the day, this is a tough technique, and you learned this technique. This is not a common technique. To punch or hook directly into wool is not a common technique because it's not easy. And when I say it's not easy, it's as easy as you just do it. But the thing about punching or hooking into wool, and I'm talking about milled wool, like door wool, I'm talking about rug hooking wool. It would be different if you're punching, for example, into your Christmas plaid skirt that has moth holes in it. But I can't really talk on that subject because I don't know your skirt. Do you see what I mean? If we're talking about milled wool that we use for rug hooking, we know we're all talking about like medium weight, skirt weight wool, milled wool. If you're punching or hooking into it, it will work. But if you change your mind and pull a lot of stuff out, it's very hard to cover that up. So it's a different game, right? One of the great benefits of being a puncher or a hooker is that you can remove stuff that you change your mind, you just have a change of heart or you change your color plan without any consequences. But that is not the case when you work directly into wool as a backing fabric. So it is very brave to do it, and it's really great to learn these different techniques and to remind, and now that you're a teacher, Kaz, to remind other people that this is a technique that is perfectly viable and works great. As with any other technique, you need to know what the pros and cons are, right? You need to know where the hazards are, where the pratfalls may lie. So, yeah, but it is a fantastic technique. Another beautiful piece. This third piece is the punch needle level 3 Zoom class with Laura Berlage, offered in Hayward, Wisconsin. And Kaz said, I love this piece because we played with quillies, standing wool, sculpting, and many different novelty yarns. The two mushrooms are needle felted. The large brown mushroom was felted directly onto the monk's cloth. Okay, I see what you mean. I'm looking at it too. The large mushroom. Okay, wait a minute. Let me read that again. The large brown mushroom was felted directly on the monk's cloth, while the red one was needle felted on a piece of felt. I see. And then you sewed it onto the monk's cloth. So same result, right? The one on the left was needle felted right onto the monk's cloth, the brown one. But the red one was made, right, in the air or whatever, made on a little sponge foamy bed and onto felt, right? Needle felted onto a piece of felt and then sewn onto the backing. Jessica's going, wow, more techniques, right, Jessica? So interesting. Kaz, I really appreciate you being so forthcoming with your techniques here because it's so interesting to look at something and to have no idea how it was done and for someone to actually tell you how they did it so they have a chance of doing something similar. Great techniques being shown here. I added a small yellow hand woven butterfly. Oh, I see. To balance the bright color of yellow. Yes, that's very good because it does take your eye right around. It does have a great sort of Alice in Wonderland quality, doesn't it? I mean, it's a magical looking piece. So beautiful, Kaz. So beautiful. Kaz says, I love combining many different techniques. You know, for us as hookers and punchers, when we do a sampler, it's not a sampler in the true definition of a sampler. Actually, maybe it is. I take it back. It's not an embroidered sampler with a needle, but it is maybe even, if we take the word sampler literally, maybe it is even more of a sampler because we really are sampling a little bit of everything. Valerie, great to see you. Happy Friday night. Absolutely beautiful, Kaz. It's a stunning piece. And this piece, this is the last small 8x8 piece, is a Cozy Cabin in the Woods kit by Robin Whitford. I have a quarterly subscription to A Place to Call Home series, and I love using novelty yarns to punch. And then you said, if I don't see you this Friday morning, happy birthday. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is a great piece, and it looks to me like you are punching it Were you punching and hooking with this one, or did you punch the wool strips in that log cabin? Did you punch all of it? I can see it's on your punching frame because I can see you worked it upside down because I see the frame around it like a shadow box. So I know that you're on that punching frame. Interesting. Kaz says, I punched the wool strips. Okay, you punched all of it. Wow, so many different effects, so many great effects because you can punch with wool strips, of course. And I would say for me, the only negative in my mind with punching with wool strips is that the strip runs out quick and you find yourself threading your punch with another strip. And if you don't have a lot of patience, it gets old fast. But if you are normal and you do have more patience than me, then it's not such a big deal. But you can see with this piece that the runs are very short for the wool strip. So it's not, you would probably run out where you ran out anyway. Strips are very, very easy to punch. It's just a question of having to reload all of the time. Kaz, all 4 of these pieces are just exquisite. You did such a beautiful job. Really, really, really well done on all. Sharon, I love what you sent. We were talking about these the other day. So this is something a little different because conversation about bowls and sewing coils came up. I forget what we were talking. God knows what we were talking about. But I remember. It was the last night. It was the last gallery night where we did trivia, and we were talking about those jelly roll rugs and how you make them on the sewing machine. Right? And you sew them as you go. And tension is the thing, right? That's because if it's too tight, if you're pulling too hard as you sew a spiral on the sewing machine, right, to make a jelly roll rug, which looks like a braided rug, if your tension is not right, it turns into a bowl, or I use the example of a hat because I used to have to sew hats when I was a costume maker. And I mean, we would use straw that was like this wide. Can you imagine? Like, God, I don't even want to think about it. And the conversation came up about bowls. And so Sharon sent us examples of these bowls. And Sharon, you said, hello, I'm not sure if I should send. Of course you should send these pictures. Some of my rope bowls using a 1/4-inch clothesline rope. All right, a 1/4-inch clothesline rope. Colored ones wrapped in cotton fabric. Ooh. Start with a small wheel of a circle, sew straight lines across to hold it together, go back and start zipping, making flat bottom base 6 to 7 inches or bigger. Start to tip the base up towards your sewing machine. This will form the sides. Yeah, so you kind of roll it, don't you? You kind of roll it as you go, and you can see it curling up. And the sort of, what's the right word, scoop, the sort of scoop, the shape, how quickly and how wide and how steep the thing turns into a bowl. Do you know what I mean? Depends on how gently you are turning it up, how aggressively you're pulling on the tension, and then it gets height a lot faster, right? So this is something that has a learning curve for sure, and you would really have to finagle. But Sharon, these are such beautiful examples. I think you sent another set. These are such beautiful examples, and you told us all how to do this. So if this is something you want to do, you can always watch back on this video a little bit later, because it's going to be a thing where if you're not getting it, just hearing the words, right, about the clothesline and then wrapping it with the fabric and how Sharon just described sewing it, right, making the base and then sewing up. And Sharon says in the comment, yes, roll and keep tension on the rope. It's almost like if you do pottery, right, and you get used to the feel of that, it takes a little bit of time, right? It's fun, Karen, isn't it? It takes a little bit of time. It's all about feel, but your hands do get used to it. It's like modeling something that grows before your eyes. And just like, with a potter's wheel, or even more so, you can control the speed of your sewing machine, right? So you can really take time and think. If you're not a fast thinking person, you're afraid you're going to, sew over your fingers or screw the whole thing up, just take it slow and see how it goes. Everybody loves these bowls, Sharon. See, this is great that we showed these. Colleen says, I've done these, but used glue instead of sewing because I'm not a sewer. Feels like cheating, and you don't get the pretty detail of the thread. Colleen, I'm sure yours are beautiful as well. Pam says, very pretty and useful bowls. I would fill them with balls of wound yarn. Absolutely. Wouldn't that be absolutely stunning? Is to make these clothesline bowls, say that 20 times, and to fill them with bowls of your scraps, your noodles, or your yarn. How much fun would that be? Kirsten says, these bowls are so cute. I need to make some myself. Ruth says, you should make a YouTube how-to. Yeah, you should. Sharon, would you want to do that? That would be absolutely very welcome. That'd be a lot of fun. And if you did that, I would love it if you put it on Ribbon Candy Hooking so we could all look at it, to share it there. But that would be a great thing to do. That'd be really fun. YouTube video, that would be great. Absolutely beautiful. And I think you sent something else too that I didn't realize later, or I would have put them together. But in the meantime, I'm going to come over here. Well, let me see. Wait a minute. No, Sharon, this is yours. I did do it, didn't I? Sharon, this is yours. I know I had them in 2 different places. Yes. Okay. I moved them. I had the presence of mind. I wasn't feeling great, but I did it. So Sharon, sticking with Sharon Kipp, we're moving from the bowls, the clothesline bowls, to 2 of the Caswell blocks that you have already finished, number 1 and number 5. And you say, hoping to do a few more to make a small rug. Not happy with the background of number 5. Oh, okay. Well, let's look. Let's look when we get there. This is number 1, I think, right? Is this number 1? I love this. I can see you've done this in yarn. I love the colors. I love the colors. I love the background is almost like an off-white, but it has a little bit of a glow to it, doesn't it? It has a little bit of a pearly, kind of yellowy green to it, a bit of a metallic. It's such a beautiful, beautiful background color. And that nice icy sort of pinky purple on it is so dark, light, dull, bright, right? That all of those things are right here. Absolutely beautiful. This is one of the blocks that for me, when I looked at it, I couldn't see how it could be done in a way that was like super charming. Here it is. Here's the answer, right? You did it. You really made it. It has the symmetry. It's almost like the 2 flowers are dancing together. The colors are bright and crisp. It is, in terms of color planning, it's a masterpiece. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Love the purple flowers. Kaz loves them too. They're just absolutely stunning. Now, this is the piece that I think this is number 5. I'm wondering if this is number 5 because I love the background on this. This was a tricky one too because it had a fern kind of a leaf. I love the color on this too. This is kind of a Van Gogh palette with the blues and the oranges. I really like it. This one had a lot of detail because these ferns were like wildly intricate. And I really like the patterning that you got up, right? You really got some striping going on the leaves, and on this, the top is like the stem turns into a leaf. I really like it. I really like that very zebra type patterning in contrast with these very mellow orange flowers. They're the soft apricot color with a little bit of a more burnt orange inside, a little bit more of an apricot or butterscotch in the center. Nice, soft, round colors, very gentle. But with this piece, the way that it's drawn and the way that it has this very, it's sort of explicit fern flower, and it's wildly patterned. I think you did a beautiful job with it. It's an exciting piece to look at, and I love the background. I love this color for the background. Yeah, I can't think of, honest to God, I can't think of a color I would prefer, because I like the blue and I feel like the blue is right, but I wouldn't want to see a darker blue, and I wouldn't want to see a light blue. I feel like that would be too predictable. I think you hit the nail, for me, you hit the nail on the head. I wish that you liked it, but for me, you hit the nail on the head. It's an absolutely, they're both absolutely beautiful pieces. Barbara says the variety is awesome in the Caswell blocks collection. Seeing everyone's is inspiring. Everybody's doing such different work, and even between these two, Sharon's two, I should have put them side by side. They're so different. I mean, I think you have to, Judy, great to see you. Happy Friday night. I think you have to keep going. You're doing such a great job with these, and I love the background for both of these. They really have a beautiful glow. They are very different, really well done, very impressive. I really like them, honestly. Karen, you are working on, oh, wait a minute, let me get the last one back. I'm doing this out of order. You said, when my husband, let me come back to you here, and then we will look at the demonstrating piece. Karen says, when my husband and I went to visit our son at his new house in Michigan last October, our son Robert made a request. You know what was coming, didn't you? Almost as soon as we entered his new home for our tour, Robert requested a floor rug for his front room. How could I say no? You can't say no. You can't. During our visit, we spent time looking at large rug patterns from Honey Beehive and chose the following patterns. It's called cashmere or cachet, like cashmere, but I'm sorry, CACHE, like cashmere. Get it? Cashmere by Jane McGowan Flynn. And it is 42 by 72. 42 by 72 inches. Wow. You started working on it on Valentine's Day in number 3 cuts. You hope to have it done for him by Christmas. Karen, you are one of the fastest working people I know, so I know you will have it done. But I can see that it's an extraordinary amount of work. It does look like a very fun pattern. It is like an Eastern style rug, but it has a lot more going on. There's a lot of really whimsy plays with the paisley shapes, and it does have a more sort of Art Deco center than most of the Eastern style rugs that we see. It's extraordinary pattern. And it is a very busy pattern, and you are the woman to do it, my friend. You are the woman to do it. These are the colors that you're using. This is your color palette. Dark, light, dull, bright, right? You've got it nailed. I'm looking at the grays, the browns, and the blacks, and in my mind, we know that those are neutrals. So then for play, we're looking at the sort of maroon colors, the Bordeaux colors, the greens, the blues, and the apricots or the oranges. Absolutely beautiful. The color palette is just exquisite. This is a very arts and crafts style color palette. And having that many neutrals with this color palette is going to be so perfect. It really needs it, right? It needs to be very well grounded. You're getting lots of compliments here. Pam says, wow, fabulous rug. Number 3s are not easy, but perfect. Just perfect for this rug. Can't wait to see the finished one of these days. Yeah, it'll be, Pam, it'll be sooner than we think, I bet. A Fortunate Son. Absolutely. Valerie says, wow. Number 3, you go, girl. Absolutely. And you also included a picture of what the finished one looks like in theory, right? So your color plan is maybe a little bit different, but it is absolutely, it's some similar colors. It's absolutely beautiful. It's very, very busy, but it's so charming. I know. It is so different. It's almost like musical, isn't it? It's like it reminds me of a game board around the edges. Like it's got all these Candyland swirls happening around it. It's romantic. It's got charm. It has a little bit of a folk art flavor because I feel like I can see some hearts in there, which is really sweet. But overall, immediate first blush reaction is like it's like an Eastern style rug. So it has that classic pedigree feel to it, and yet it's got a lot more going on than that. Karen, it's so charming. Make sure that you keep us updated. And Barbara says, true labor of love. Sue's, great to see you in Kansas. Happy Friday night. No, you can't. No, you can't say no. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it done, and it's gonna be so much fun to watch you. It's gonna be so much fun. Make sure you keep us updated as you go along. Right, that's the thing. Because it's also great. You never hesitate with stuff like this. You are a super brave, like stout-hearted hooker. But it's so hard for me included to think about rugs that size, and you just think, how am I ever going to get, and the thing is, you chip away and you do it. You're one of these like, one mouthful at a time people. You just chip away and it gets done. So it'll be great to see this thing evolve, and it is already so beautiful. Diane, you always send me really amusing and inspiring emails. I don't write back as often as I should, but I love you and I appreciate them so much. So Diane wrote with this funny email describing this pattern and this project that she's about to start. Diane says, I just sketched this very rough layout for Barbershop Duet. Love seat doodled this morning. So Barbershop Duet, love seat doodle this morning while marathoning my new favorite Butterfly song. I can't seem to stop rewinding the movie to listen to it. Maybe an example to show how movies can inspire initial rug design paths. So interesting. So you're saying that, I'm going to show it and then I'm going to come back to it. You're saying that you were listening to this butterfly song and it got you going with this design inspiration. And now you're giving me this idea, as you give me so many good ideas. Maybe show how movie scenes and songs can inspire rug designs. That's a great idea. That would be a great challenge, because I'm sure Flutter by Little Butterfly, that is so charming. 1900 to 2025. I've got more of the story for you. But that is a great idea. For those of you who are, I'm gonna share Diane's idea. I'm gonna hijack it. For those of you who are looking for original work to do, and you're thinking, but what should I do? But what should do? Think it's a great idea. Think about what your favorite movie or what your favorite song is. When I was in my church group after service today, the icebreaker was like, what's your favorite book? And I probably had the most low. I said Excellent Women by Barbara Pym. I had the most lowbrow book in the room, but I love that book and I love that writer. But yeah, sometimes we can be so inspired by a book or by a song or whatever, and you know that you love it. You know you already love it. So if you evolve a design based on something that you know you already love, you're gonna love it. It's not gonna go wrong, because it can't go wrong. However it evolves, you already love it. So that's a good start. So Diane goes on to say, so here's the story. My great-grandfather was one of those musicians who could pick up any instrument and just play it, even though he hadn't played it before. He mostly played a brass instrument, trumpet, I think Grandma said, in the park with a band, like a bandstand, in a white painted gazebo on the weekends or during town holiday events. Oh, they still have those all around the Cape. Those are so dear to my heart. The band members wore boaters, boater hats, red candy-striped jackets, and polished brown leather shoes. They played pop songs of the day and marches. This is 1910s Titanic era, mind. And sung barbershop quartet songs from the white gazebo all afternoon, delighting the wandering park goers, because the band members were quite talented and known throughout the county. Marches, ragtime, love songs, sing-alongs, you name it. Whatever was popular from vaudeville shows or the latest sheet music. The scene is well set, I hope, she says. So, my great-grandfather saw my great-grandmother in the crowd watching the band play and leaned over to one of his bandmates and said, "You know it. That's the girl I'm going to marry." Keep in mind that he'd never seen her before that moment, that they hadn't been introduced, and he had absolutely no idea who she was. A year later, they were married. A time when romance was genuinely sweet and very much alive, and necking in public would give you a bad reputation if you weren't married. Well, even if you were married, public no-no. Well, that was my grandma. That was the story the way my grandmother told me anyway. She wasn't prone towards too much exaggeration, even though she was a great storyteller. And her mother told her the story. So even if she made it up, it's sweet and true to period norms. So, so let's look at this image again. So we can expect to see Diane working on this. It is a beautiful image. Karen says, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang would be, yes. Oh, I love the song, Hushabye Mountain. Such a beautiful song. That would be a great rug. And Karen says, or Mary Poppins. Step in time. There's so many moments in both of those movies that would be great rugs, right? Disney is locked up copyright wise, so you want to be really careful about your designs with those two in particular. But it can be done. I'm sure it can be done, right? This is such a sweet design, and I just love the idea. I love the costume. I love the idea that there's music playing. I love this having a green background for the park and sort of these topiaries. It's obviously an outdoor setting. There's a reference to a specific song. These are family members, a story that's come down. This is a sketch that is done I'm not even sure how, like maybe on the computer or with one of those pens, but this is the kind of rug that is a storytelling piece and an heirloom for the family forever after. I love the gesture. I love the anonymity of the faces, right? So getting away from that, again, the problem of hooking faces, which can be so disappointing if you're trying to get a likeness. I love the filigree nature of the bench. It looks like a beautiful little metal bench, doesn't it? Little cast iron bench. And I just love the gesture of the great grandmother. The way it's like, be still my heart, right? He's like speaking sweet nothings, and she's kind of turning away in a dither, like her heart is pounding, and she might be holding a handkerchief. It is just the sweetest. The drawing, I think, is very, 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 very pretty. I love the bench. I love the simplicity of it. I really like the gestures. Like I like the posturing that's happening here. I love the sort of shy but firm way that he's holding her hand, like he doesn't want to let go. But he seems a little bit shy too in the tip of his head. I love the gesture of hers that I just described. I love her costume. It's perfect. But I also love the sweep of her skirt, right? Like her body language is she's turning away, but she's obviously very connected. It's very shy. She's overwhelmed with emotion. And I love the way that her skirt is kind of mermaiding out on the ground. Such a great costume detail, the feathers in her hat. It's an absolutely beautiful piece. It's such a charming piece. And Diane, I can't wait to see this as you evolve it, because it really is different. And it's a great example of a family piece, of a story that's being told through our medium. And it's such a beautiful story, right? It's such a crowd pleaser. Keep us updated. It is a grand piece. Joyce, I had to color. I had to fool with the colors on this too. Joyce, it was a little bit dark. Joyce is also working on a Caswell carpet piece that is so lovely, Joyce. This is the one that has kind of the wings, right? It's like kind of heart flower shapes with wings and then flowers coming out. It's a very unusual design, right? It's not intuitive. You're taking this to such a pretty and antique looking place with this lovely classic antique palette. It's similar to the original palette, but it's much more colorful. It's much more cheerful. Joyce said, I selected this mat in memory of my late husband. I was looking for a rug that had angel wings, and I thought that this was perfect. I wanted a primitive look, so I selected the brown yarn for the background and a wider cut for the wings. Ooh, I see what you mean. It is very wide on the wings, and that does help. Right, let's talk about that in a second. So the pink was added afterward to try to outline them. The purple flowers are a bit lost with the brown background, but it will do. Oh, it will do. I don't think they are. I don't think they are. I think the color is very well balanced. It looks antique, right? It looks like something that was done a long time ago. That is the look because of the color palette. I think in terms of contrast, the contrast is great here. The contrast is fine. I think everything is going well. I do like the color variation in the background. There's a lot of things I love about this piece, right? I love the weight of that very heavy cut that you're using in the wings. That is so different. It really it grabs you, right? It really draws your eye. It puts me in mind of needlepoint more than anything else, because you know with needlepoint how you can have some details that are like petty point and they're like micro mosaic, and then others that are like quite thick or broad stitches or long stitches or bargella or whatever. Lots of different stitches of different types. You're doing that here. You've got this very soft kind of roving like or maybe boucle yarn in the background that really fills in beautifully. Very, very soft, fluffy, lofty, woolly feel to the background. The centers of the flowers are more complex and sort of crispy with more ribbon-like fill, right? Very busy and filled in, very tight and more realistic. And then you've got the flower shapes that you've outlined very well according to the pattern with these kind of dit dots, because it's like two hearts that are overlapped. You know what I mean? It's an odd pattern, but it's like two hearts overlapped flying together. So Joyce, I could see why you would be thinking of your late husband and why this would be the perfect choice. It is very, as Sue says, very romantic, reminds her of a Victorian postcard. It does. It's a very simple design, but it's a question of where are you going to take it, literally, with these wings, right? And I think making the wings a centerpiece like this, making them really stand out, is important to your piece of storytelling with this piece. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I love the color changes. I love the color palette. I love the antique feel of it. And I love the sentiment and the heart behind it. I love the thought behind it. You did a beautiful job here. This is, again, another one of the Caswell carpet blocks. So this one is out there. There are many people doing every block. So it's not like once one is done, it's taken. Barbara, Doodlebee. Oh, thank God for Barbara. Barbara does so many of the tough patterns. This one was intended for and will be in Magpie Times. So Magpie Times is about to come out, and Doodlebee is one of the ribbon candy hooking patterns that is in it. So this is one that I designed that I thought, Barbara, I love you. Who in their right mind is going to do that? You did it. You did it, and you are in your right mind. And the way you did it made sense of the design to me, because I did a design that was like an Escher, right? Like it was ridiculous. And Barbara took it and she made perfect sense of it without losing the feel of the design, because in the design, each of these big flowers was handled in a different way. So it was like a doodle drawing in that each of these big ball flowers had a different pattern fill. And I thought, well, that's impossible. But look, it's not. It came out absolutely great. Barbara wrote, Doodlebee turned out to be one of my favorite patterns created by Deanna. So much fun to hook, and it will be in the spring 2025 issue of Magpie Times as a free pattern, so you can enjoy creating your own version. This one is done in number 4 and number 6 cut. I used a bit of chenille yarn for the bees and another as a beauty line around the perimeter. Yes. I want to expand on that by saying I just love this piece. And honestly, I'm sorry, Teddy's calling me. Honestly, I didn't love it when I drew it. And when we were going back and forth with this, I did, as I always do, several free patterns for Magpie Times. I'll show you another one in just a minute, a little bit later. I just wasn't sure about this one, and Barbara and I go back and forth a lot. And I said, I don't think you're going to be interested in this one. She said, oh, I am interested in that one. I couldn't have been more surprised, because and this is just the very nature of art, isn't it? She saw something different in it than I did, and these are the very lines of the drawing, and yet she saw something very different. I saw a blessed mess, right? I really did. And I was like, I was having a bad night. Everything I did was stupid and garbage. And this was one of those things. And I'm so glad that she picked it up and said, yeah, no, I'm doing it. And was excited about it and brought it to this place, because in Barbara's genius, she popped the things that were good about the pattern. The thing that was the most not good about the pattern was the busy background line that ran like a labyrinth. You can see what she did was she kept the line, but she used like a color changing wool strip, and it achieved the same effect of this busyness. Like it's meant to be like the flight of the bees, right? The flight of the bumblebees, like the sound, the song of them buzzing around the flowers, and like this sort of electric noise, right? Like I wanted to try to record that movement and that sound in the background, and it created some very busy lines. But she hooked the lines straight up, good neutral background with this color changing wool, and that is the answer, right? As John Lennon would say, that is the answer. It's beautiful, and the flies are bees are beautifully done. Remember, the theme for this upcoming issue of Magpie Times is busy bees for spring. So lots of patterns with bees coming at you, and gotta say, I think this is now my favorite. And thank you, Barbara, for that, because I could not have gotten here with this pattern. Bumblebee Dance, that would have been a great name for it too. Judy says, I love what you did with the background, Barbara. Catherine says, it's really wonderful. My mom says, Doodlebee is a wow. Perfect color choices. So lively. It screams spring. It does. And I love how dark the bees are too, right? It almost reminds me of like an illumination in its busyness. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's such a great piece. Barbara, thank you so much. It's absolutely beautiful. Look forward to seeing this and owning this. Magpie Times is about to come out, so make sure that you you can get it on Amazon, or you can pre-order it with me. If you want it signed or something special, make sure you get it with me, because the Amazon issues don't even come through me. If you are in another country, I would order it from your Amazon. So Canadians, I would order it from Amazon.ca, because it ships locally. No reason to order it from .com, because you'll pay $35 in shipping. So wherever you are in any country, right, it should be available, print on demand. It should come immediately. It should come, if you have a Prime membership, same time frame. So Barbara says, thank you for the great design and the Crazy 8 bundles. Oh, thank you. Don't thank me for anything. That was all you. That was absolutely crazy. Love it. Tara Boyle, another one of my dear hearts who I will always, always love. What started as a couple of 6 by 6 inch mats to me to keep me busy has now turned into a series of 12. I will hook them all and then choose my favorite 9 to frame and hang in a group. What a great idea. Honestly, what a great idea. Saying, okay, I'm going to do a series of something. Um, I know I mean to do 9, kind of think about an Andy Warhol, like that kind of configuration. Like I want them all to be the same size. What's going to happen though, Tara, if you like all 12, you'll just have, 12 still works 4 by 3, right? Um, I think you're going to have a hard time deciding. Just putting these into the slideshow, I had a hard time deciding. These are all really lovely. Just such an extraordinary piece. The tree and the landscape in this really reminding me, because you are Canadian, really reminding me of the group of 7 and the shape of trees that the famous group of 7 painters, known as the group of 7, often did a specific kind of tree that had like clumps to it, just like this, like a totem of clumps, very much in the style of the group of 7, and or Emily Carr, sometimes considered part of the group, but not officially. So I'm seeing those colors, I'm seeing those shapes, right? It has this beautiful graphic or early 20th century feel. The colors are just wildly whimsical. The dusty rose, the mauve, the purples, so aesthetically pure and graphic and lovely in its simplicity. It is a beautiful piece. I love it. But you've already done, I think we're going to see 3 right now. You are on a roll. This is another one of your classic pieces. Beautiful landscape here. We're seeing some of the little dit dots, the flowers kind of pop out at us. We're seeing color variation in this grass that has different heights, right? Very sort of realistic, wild and woolly feel to it. Beautiful color choices here. I love the warm green in the grass. That olive green is a warm green as opposed to a spearmint or a mint green, right? Or sort of pistachio, right? This is the opposite. This is an olivey green, which kind of gives way to more of like a purpley brown and into heathery grays and into this tree line of this dark, dark, dark bottle green right up to the sky of a little bit of light blue, lots of purples and whites. You love the bright colors. You love the happy colors. So we're seeing at the bottom a lot of pinks and pops of blue. At the top, still blue and a lot of purple. Absolutely beautiful. Cass says the sky is beautiful. Leah, color choices are beautiful. Really beautiful and very different from one to the next. Both landscapes, right? Both landscapes, very different from one to the next. And the third one, if you're wondering what the third one looks like, very Canadian again, right? These beautiful classic Canadian scenes that can be Dion Fitzpatrick, that can be Maud Lewis, right? These small cabins on the edge of these beautiful panoramic lake views, these big sweeping views, but small crops of bigger stories. So these are 3 kind of intrinsically Canadian pieces. And these 3 obviously have to be in the set of 9. It's going to be hard to choose in the end because all of them are great. Tara, there's everything you do. I love the height differences when you're working in the ground. I love the idea that the greenery, right? The green, the grass, the leaves and the flowers are different heights, right? It makes them wild. It makes them look very organic and true. I love the solid structure of the little house and the way that it's offset because here there is a house in the composition, but the story really is this incredible view. And what a beautiful day with a beautiful sky. And your clouds are a signature shape, right? I don't know anybody who does clouds like you. They almost look like stylized seagulls, right? That's your thing. I think that's amazing. Beautifully done. And a little bit of color change with the mottled blue. It doesn't look like there's more than one color blue, but it looks like it's a blue that is not a solid, that is mottled. And you've got it light in some places where the sun is reflecting and dark in others. It's not confusing. It's not overly detailed. It is just absolutely stunning. Um, Barbara says, yes, the sky is amazing. Barbara says, put them all up, a story wall. These are all small, so much to tell. Yeah, I mean, I want to see all of them. I hope that we can see all of them. And I can't imagine that you could, in the end, turn your back on any, because these are all, if this is any indication of where you're going with this series, they are all going to be home runs. And here's a preview of what the next one is going to look like. What a lot of fun, right? We get a little sneak preview. Absolutely beautiful. And that one, the one that you're going to do on the far left, you're still doing your signature clouds, which is great. I mean, your clouds are in all of them. And the tree, the same kind of sort of, not exactly the same tree shapes, but still group of 7 tree shapes. Really cool. Postcard group needs to check these out. That's a great point, Barbara, because these are so small that for people who are working on our postcard challenge, in anticipation of the next issue of Magpie Times, let me just give a shout out to that. So there's another group project going on right now, and it's called Wish You Were Here. Ruth and Barbara are working on that challenge. It's called Wish You Were Here Holiday Postcards, because the theme of the next Magpie Times, the summer issue, will be Wish You Were Here Holiday Postcards. So there is a rug exchange, the actual size of postcards. People are making rugs that are about where they're from, and then they'll send them like postcards to their partner, whoever they get partnered with. So if you're interested in that project, then you'll get one in return. And if you send me a picture of them first, a good picture, that I will include yours in the article that I will write, or one of us will write, for Magpie Times about this exchange. So if you're interested in that project, it's called Wish You Were Here. Maybe Ruth or Barbara, you could just write down what the Facebook page is in the thread there. Anyone who's interested in that should jump in, because the point Barbara's making is an important one. The thing about the postcards is they're very small, right? But look at Tara doing these designs here that are even smaller, right? So you can see what kind of thing you could achieve by working on a very small scale. You can get quite far. It's just you can't trip yourself up by overcomplicating everything at the onset. You know what I mean? You have to take the one with the house as an example, right? Instead of doing the entire house with the landscape, crop it. The house is just at the bottom corner. It's not taking up any more space than that. And then it still reads as a composition with a big, vast view, because even though there's a house in it, it's tucked in quite tidily into the corner. And it gives you a lot of extra space to give that impression of this vast land and sea and sky, right? Even a flower field. So check that out if you're interested. Tara, these are gorgeous. Please show us all of them. Show us every one of them. They are all stunners. Valerie, this is a fun project. This is a great pop project. Let me explain this in case you don't understand this image. I got this right away because of my teddy bear and his video games. Valerie wrote, "Happy birthday, Deanna. I truly appreciate your support and encouragement, ribbon candy hooking, rug hooking community. I really enjoy making my own rugs. Hooray! And my 10-year-old grandson requested a rug for his 10th birthday. He wanted a Fortnite rug, so that's what I did. Probably a copyright trademark issue, definitely. But you know what? You're giving it to your grandson, and we're enjoying it here. So yeah, we're not even going to talk about that tonight. That's this is a gift. It was done on burlap, and it would be different. Obviously, I'm just going to say it in case people are watching me and looking for something that I say wrong, which there's plenty of people out there waiting. But, it would be one thing if you were turning this into a pattern, you were selling it, making money on it, right? Not celebrating it, making money on it. So who cares? It was done on burlap with thrifted wool and sweaters, and it is approximately 2 feet by 3 feet. That's quite large. Valerie, this is really good. This is really good. So Fortnite is a video game, and it's one of these really big video games like Minecraft. It's one of the all-time biggest. Oh, and Joss just contributed from the other room. She supported my statement by saying, yes, it is slay. There you go. There you go. That's the most complete review we're going to get. So, so this is a great graphic that's associated with Fortnite. There's a lot of graphics that are associated with Fortnite because there's lots of different versions, and it constantly has updates, and there's different. Yeah, look at the Fortnite rug that Valerie did. How cool is that? Yeah, way. I mean, it's super cool. I love the kind of slashes. You need it. Ask Valerie. Yeah, maybe one of these days, baby. I mean, this is a lot of work, obviously. Absolutely beautiful, and I can see the dedication on the top left. The very silhouette-driven design, so that was a really smart choice. Valerie, you got the font just right. So whether or not you know the game Fortnite, there's a couple of things about this rug that are important. The graphic in the background is perfect, so that's very recognizable. But the font is really important with this game. It's its own font, like it's its own font. It's not another one that is like borrowed or mutated. It's very distinctive. So you nailed it. And that whole sort of idea of something exploding, that's a big part of the game. So you've got like the red color in the center, that's like the sort of cadmium red, and then the kind of medium tomato ketchup red, and then the darker red. That's really important. So it's a game that doesn't have a lot of, in terms of its marketing, there's not a lot of crazy color and stuff. It's very limited. And you've done a lot color wise to make this a really dynamic. You stayed true, but it looks really dynamic and exciting. And how did it go over? Did you give it as a gift yet? I'd be so curious. I mean, I know how it went over, but I would just like to hear about it. Yes, it is sleigh. So good news, right? Um, Pam says my grandson will be impressed if I use the word sleigh. He absolutely will. Oh my God, yes, he will. He will be so impressed. Joss, can I tell about school the other day real quick? Well, I was going to say the thing about the dance at night. Okay, okay. I'm going to tell you two things really quick because this is a big part of our weekend. On Friday, when I was laying in bed, right, and wondering if I was going to make it again, two things happened that were really funny on Friday. One of them was the children had a day at school that we never had when I was growing up. And the day was, I don't know what it was called, but basically, in grown up words, it was like, take something to school, take your books to school in something other than a book bag, right? It was called something better than that. So the kids went, if you're on my Facebook page, you already saw this, but um, the kids, as I drove to school, I was dead at the wheel. It was awful. I dropped her off at school, and all the kids are kind of going with the rolling suitcases behind them. And one kid had like a computer box that, had like, it was pretty heavyweight cardboard with the handle and stuff. And somebody had like a guitar case, but pretty much everybody had like the wheeling suitcases. Jocelyn took our barbecue. Like she took the grill from the backyard. Sleigh. It was sleigh. She cleaned it out, and well, when I say she cleaned it out, her dad cleaned it out. She didn't clean it out at all. But she went to school. We put it in the back of the car. I drove to school. Took it out. It's one of those barbecues that tips, and then like a rolling suitcase, and you drag it with you. And so her book bag was in the barbecue. She was the only one with a barbecue. And as she was exiting the car, she said, how am I going to get this up and down the stairs? And I went, whoa, 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 whoa. Do not take the stairs. Like, you will kill someone if the barbecue falls down the stairs. Take the elevator. You have to take the elevator. You created this problem. But that was wonderful. But my favorite part of the day, I'm going to say it, Joss. It's okay, right? What? About what you wore to the dance? Yeah. Okay. So it has been a great secret in this house for a long time that she makes these very elaborate masks that are really exquisite. But for whatever reason, she has not wanted to share with people at school that she makes these masks because fearing the consequences, right? She was afraid, in her words, here's another one, Pam, that she would be cooked. I guess that means made fun of. So she was afraid that she would be cooked. So she doesn't wear these masks. But it's a huge part of her life. I would say it's the main part of her life is making tons of these very elaborate masks. Can you show your mask, Joss?
I think it might still be in the car.
See if you can get it. Anyway, she's been doing this for a long time, and it's been a big secret. And I just don't think it's healthy to have these kinds of secrets and to not even tell your friends that you have this hobby that's such a huge passion. I think there's something wrong with that. No criticism. I just think it's not the most healthy scenario. So there's another girl at her school in her class that started also making masks. It's been like a year or two. And finally, there's someone else. So when she was going to the dance the other night, right, it's like a yearly dance, she did not want to wear the dress. And I knew she was wearing a tail, whatever. And then she said she was going to wear her mask. And I said, you really? Like, you're going to wear a mask? Joss, get to your mask. It's so cool. And she was like, yeah, no, I'm going to wear it because her friend was going to wear it too. And I mean, my heart was just like so full because I just want her to be her, right? Whether she's an alien dog or not. And it is a mask of an alien dog. Whether she's an alien dog, whatever she is, I want her to be it, right? So it was like one of the best moments of my life when I pulled up to drop her off, and she got out of the car. Right, she got out of the car. She ran to her friend who was running out of the door of the school. Who also, she was like an alien dog, and her friend was more of a alien feline, and they ran to each other. It was something like from National Geographic, like animals in the wild. They ran to each other with this like violent hug. It was like this explosive, dangerous hug, and they just like embraced. And I was like, it was one of the best moments of my life. Yeah, she doesn't know what National Geographic is. Uh, yeah, because it was like you two were animals in the wild. Judy says that's epic, Jocelyn. That's a good one. That's a good one. Um, okay. Oh, that's not one of your masks, but you can show it here. She makes these hand puppets too out of cardboard, and then she develops them into other things. But yeah, yeah, hand puppets. Go get your mask. It's so cool. Anyway, you got a lot of nice compliments. Tell Papa to get it. What's he doing? He's nothing, nothing. Um, Thank you. I love seeing your compliments. Valerie said, of the Fortnite rug, you blended a couple of images to get the colors. Mostly, yeah, because only to have so many reds, right? So it's for his birthday. It's for May, so we have to wait. We have to wait until we get the result. Tell us what he says, or take a picture if you don't mind. I see what you mean. That's the thing about. I know a lot of people love to do anime characters and video game stuff and graphic characters that are like pop culture characters. And the thing about those is that it is sometimes hard to get like a good colorful image. And it is a great tip, Valerie. It's a great idea to remind people if you are trying to make something and base it on stuff like this, it is good to make a composite of like several different things, all from the same game or from the same show, so that it makes literal sense to the person you're giving the gift to, the child. But if you just look for one image on the internet, you're just searching images, you might not find one that's interesting enough to hold your attention or a child's attention. Yes, Barbara, when you met Josh, she was wearing a mask at the Haunted Rug event. And I had to talk her into that, even though I was, we were all dressed, well, many of us were dressed up for Halloween. So it was the right day for it. But she was still very nervous about wearing a mask, even in that setting. Things have changed. I feel great about it. Duly noted. Cooked is important too. Jess is such a creative girl. Don't ever change that about your sweet self, Jess. Yay, she said. We know what that means. Yay. That's what I know too. Dave says barbecued homework. I'm still laughing. Yeah, she's got to be. It's yeah. I always say I'm sure a lot of moms say, shine your light. Let your little light shine. What else is there? Karen says, Joss, don't ever let anyone squash your individuality. It's so important to be true to you. Did you hear that, Joss? Yeah. Yeah. Gotta keep reminding, right? These positive reinforcements. Thank you so much, everybody. She's such a good girl. Sue says, encouraging your children's creativity and wanting them to do them is a masterpiece of mothering. Yeah, it has to be that way because do you remember when we were growing up? I mean, it was like God forbid you be different. Oh my God, if you were different, there was like a target on your back, you know? And then I guess the result of that was that when your opportunity to be who you really are is put on hold so that you can fly under the radar for as long as possible, then you don't actually start your life until way later, right? And it's not ideal, right? Sometimes it has to be that way, depending on whatever. Um, Rita says, let your freak flag fly, girly. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I do. I don't always do a good job. I'll tell you, there's a lot of bad days, but once in a while things go right over here, and it feels good. All right, Valerie, you did really good with this. Very, very good. It's going to be an epic gift, and yeah, I can't wait to hear more. Absolutely love it, and that was a tough thing to do too. I got to say, you did really well. Linda, you sent in a couple beautiful images as well that I really love tonight. Linda Barney. This design is by, hold on one second, let me just say, Pam says, in the 50s and 60s, it was tough. I was close to retirement before I ever found myself again. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's just the way it is, isn't it? It's just the way that it was. I hope the pendulum never swings back. And I mean, I think that kids could be uh, some things could be changed for the better, right? Some things could be changed for the better, like manners, right? But I'm sure people said that in the 50s and 60s too. They did because we've seen West Side Story. They said it then too. I think it's especially true now. Sometimes I have interactions with children who are incredibly rude, like beyond, like swearing at my face, and it's all I can do to not put them into a half Nelson, right? In like whatever. But yeah, I mean, there are always things that can be better. But yeah, it's a fine line between allowing, I think, your child to be true to themselves, true to who they are, without sort of stamping out or overlapping or snuffing out someone else's anything, right? That's the thing, as to how do you do it? It's like the dance, the ballet of all of our lives. How do you do yourself and be true to yourself and the things that you love, believe, and are? How do you dance the dance with all of the other people who have their own things, right? Without being disrespectful or taking away from them or stealing the spotlight. How do you do it, right? It's a dance. It's like clockwork. It's tough. It's something you figure out as you go along, right? So you just hope that your philosophies are good ones to start with and that they carry you through. So to be continued. We'll see how things go on that front. But nobody was cooked on Friday anyway. Linda, this is such a sweet piece. This is a design by Crow Creek Farm. Hooked on linen with repurposed clothing, my favorite. Enjoyed using plaids, right? Oh, I can see them because you can see them in those long lamb's tongues on top. So, so pretty. And wool ease chunky yarn for the sheep's body. Um, Gorgeous. This is a gorgeous design. I have to say, I'm not familiar with Crow Creek Farm. I'm going to have to check them out. Absolutely gorgeous. This is a precious design too. So that's helping things along. But your hooking in your color palette is just beautiful. It's a beautiful primitive design, but there's a lot more going on. I think the expression of the sheep, the relationship between the bird and the sheep is just adorable. Absolutely precious. And you said for the eyes, you used buttons with sparkly white yarn. They are stunning. Let me make that a little bit bigger. Let's just look at that just a little bit bigger so we can look at that. It looks like a big-ish piece, and I just want to enjoy all of it. Yeah, so you can see the plaids in the top inside those blue tongues. That's really nice because it really ends up looking like a pennant flag, doesn't it? That adds a lot of detail. I can see how the eyes are buttons. That's a great idea because it does make kind of Wallace and Gromit eyes, doesn't it? Really distinct. Because when you hook eyes, they're never a circle, are they? They're never really a circle. So that's a great solution to that. Such a charming piece. I love the texture. I love the colors. It is a super, super charming piece. And you sent us another piece that was really unusual. Yes, good. I have them side by side here. And Pam says she loves the plaid center on that of the sunflower. Oh, I'm sorry, Ruth, you said it's way easier to be original after 40. Absolutely. Isn't it true? You don't have much to lose when you're a grown up. And isn't it funny and and wonderful that the older you get, the less whatevers you've got to give. And not in an antisocial way, but isn't it true that you just, without being disrespectful and without burning bridges and without wanting, with still wanting to be connected to other people, it is very easy to say, you do you, boo, and I'm going to go ahead and do me. It's just easier when you get older. I think it's just, you build up, it takes years to build up enough confidence. You feel more sure of yourself, and you start to feel like you lose that feeling of the other shoe is going to drop. You know what I mean? As a kid, you just have that. You always feel like you're going to be in trouble for something, or someone's going to find something out or whatever. And then I think when you're like a young adult, I always had that feeling like I was like I was a fraud, like they were going to find out at my job that I wasn't as good as they thought I was, or whatever. I was screwing something up and I didn't know I was. You always have those thoughts, right? And when you get older, and I guess and responsibilities maybe as you get older become less and less. It's just kind of like poof, whatevs, and everything just becomes a lot easier. Pamela says, Ruth, that's true. I love being 73. It gives you a lot more freedom. So true. Judy says, I was also thinking of Wallace and Gromit, right? Because of those little round, in the proportions, I think of the button too, was like, reminded me of Wallace and Gromit. Hold on, let me find the sheet for this one. Oh, this is really unusual. So, Linda, thank you for resending this one too. This is such an unusual piece, right? So this is a design by Kenzie Elton of Snippets of Whimsy. I love the 1980s feel to this. I mean, it's not just that checkerboard border. It's like the actual, it's the breakdown of the moon and sun, right? And the shapiness of it. It looks like it might be a swatch watch. You know what I mean? It says it all. It's such a simple design, but it's like day in, day out, you're enough. Like it's a beautiful message. The eyes have that 80s look as well. And we've got like different seasons going around as well as different times of day. Absolutely beautiful piece. So Kenzie Elton of Snippets of Whimsy hooked on my rug warp. Oh, fantastic. With your thrifted and repurposed wool clothing, your favorite, my favorite too. Finished by folding over and stitching down the edges to the back. Perfect. Then covering those edges with 2-inch strips of leftover wool fabric. Super, super smart. Oh, that is super smart. And then Linda, you wrote hook on. What a great way to end an email. Hook on. Oh, I love it. I love it. I might have to borrow that sometimes. Yeah, it's a great design. I'm just looking at it a little bit closer up. I also love the colors, right? It strikes me, this color palette to me, because it feels like it has an 80s vibe. I extra love it. But I also love the storytelling. I love things that have to do with going around the year or the wheel of the year, the cycle of the seasons. I just love the sort of completeness of our reality, of the privilege of being alive and going through the year, the months, the holidays, the seasons, and seeing different weather. This sun and moon coming out every day and bringing us different things. It's like there's 364 stories in here at least, right? It's just a beautiful piece. It's a great design, and that's another designer that I wanna talk about and look into, because this is really unusual. This is very, very unusual. It really borders on like I would expect this to be like a print. I'd expect to see this as like a framed print or something in a gallery. It's a really unusual design for rug hooking, right? Not that there's anything wrong with it or unusual about it. We just don't see designs like this. So really curious, really fun, and two beautiful designs, Linda. Thank you so much for sending both of those. Those are both super different, really very different from each other too. Really lovely. I just wanted to show you, I'm going to speed up just a little bit here, but I just wanted to show you some previews of things to come. I'm reading your comments in the thread as well. Magpie Times is coming out in the very near future. So, yep, like I said, I just proofed my bits and pieces for Judy, and I looked at the whole format one more time, and I just want to show you some of the things you can look forward to. You know how every issue in Magpie Times, I do a design for, there's like a page where either Judy or I writes a letter to you. And at the top of the page, there's like a border design that's long and skinny, like a yard long. And Mandy Cornish, the other Cornish, Mandy Cornish in Canada, always hooks these for me. And they always include the magpie in a different pose each time. So this is the 5th magpie, right? We are now entering our 2nd year. Hooray! This is our 5th issue. So this is the 5th one, and this is what it will look like this time. So as always, I hope you've noticed in Magpie Times that this design, right, the border design, the header, it's like a header design for that welcome page is always a different pattern, and it is always a free pattern that is there. So Mandy has hooked all of them so far, and she has loved hooking them. I don't know how she's displaying them in her house, but because they are all the same size or the same dimensions, they would make a lovely set. They're also perfect for over doors. But this is another pattern in the upcoming Magpie that you can look forward to. The Magpie is pulling up like a little thread or a piece of yarn from the ground, like an earthworm. And Judy drew the Magpie. I just used the logo of the magazine in a different composition for each issue that has something to do with what we're doing. And in this case, it's busy bees. So he's wearing like a little beehive hat on his head. And yeah, it's different. Fifth issue. I know it, Mom, right? After the first one, I didn't think we were going to make it. We made it. So this is the cover that I did for, and I know I've showed you this in person, but this is the cover of the upcoming Magpie Times. So this is one of my pieces that I finished a little while back, and this is Telling the Bees. This is a custom that originates in I think the UK, at least in Western Europe. The idea of when something big happens in the house, like someone dies or someone's born, if you have bees in your yard, you must tell the bees, or they will rain havoc down on you. You have to tell them about serious things that happen. They will either punish you in some horrific way, or they will just leave, which is also bad. So this is another design that's in there. And I have to say, out of all the stuff that I've done, this is like definitely in my top 3, if it's not my number 1. I love this piece so much. And I knew that I would love it because, and one of you shouted out Telling the Bees as an idea during one of our live shows. And as soon as I thought of it, I thought, you know what, that because I love history so much, I love lore, that's going to do it. And I just want to point out that on the cover, there were many places where I ran out of the material I was using. So this is her dress. You see, I ran out of it and I had to go to a similar plaid. Let me show you. On the right, you see the kind of faded spots. That's what happened. So it happens to me too. I could not spend the time looking for this exact material. I just had to move on with my life. And it happens a lot in the background. But at the end of the day, it all worked out really well. I ran out of my blues, so I added color changing blues to the background. That's what's going on here, right? I had like a hand painted background, and I ran out, and I also ran out of time. So I loved hooking this cover because it allowed me to do a lot of problem solving. If you notice, I outline most of the motifs in that sort of dark maroon color. That's pantyhose. That's an actual pair of pantyhose. I didn't dye those. I ripped the ones I was wearing, and I cut them to shreds and I hooked with them. And that pantyhose line is a different texture, different material. Very easy to hook with, very fast hooking with pantyhose, which made it really easy to get the outlining in so that I could just get going on it and get a feel for what was going to work and what wasn't going to work. There's a lot that I pulled out of it, but for the most part, it worked great. You can see where it came to the bees that you see how much for something this size. It's basically 1 loop of yellow, 2 loops of blue, and 4 loops of white, so 2 on each side for the wings. You got to do what you got to do, right? But it does create a little cluster, and I think it's perfectly clear that they are little bees. There's no secret to doing stuff like this. It's not that it's difficult doing hard work. It's just that it's 1 loop, right? Putting the yellow in is just the 1 loop. Happy accidents, Valerie. Exactly. I love it all the more for the changes and the adaptations that I had to make. Pam says, I never noticed and a place where it ran out because it just looks perfect. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the great thing about this craft. It's amazing how you just square peg, circle hole. When you got to make it work, you got to make it work. And this was one of the earlier stages of it. And I show you this photo because, and this is in like the darkness, I'm sitting with my lamp, it's never clear in the early stages what parts of it are going to work and what parts aren't. I reworked the clothing several times because I wanted to have printed dresses with yellow in both. I had to make some changes there too because I ran out of colors in both dresses, which is why there's that weird sleeve on the left. But in the end, it kind of reminded me of like a bee or a fly's wing. So I kind of like it in the end, more happy accidents. But if you're a beginner, when you're on these early stages and you're just dropping in color like this, you just don't know. You just don't know. I only outlined the figures with the pantyhose. The flowers were not outlined, right? Just too much color. It'd be just too much color. So make good choices as you go along, and have faith, have confidence as you go along, that whatever you choose, you're going to know if it looks crappy. You're going to know. And if you do, you can pull it out. And if it doesn't, and you get a happy accident, then you start kissing your biceps, right? So either way, you win, right? You're not going to lose. Sue says, echoes back to the original rug hooking art. Yes, running out and making do. Isn't it the best? Isn't it the best? It's such such a great craft for that very reason. So a couple of items on Facebook, and then I'm going to go to the last items that were sent in. I did this in a weird order because I had a few at the end that I wasn't sure about. I just want to share this piece with you from Facebook that Jennifer Lowe, Loe, posted in our Facebook group, and it just said, made this Highland cow pillow for my little sister. That's it. What an exceptional piece, though. It is a stitched piece, right? So just know, if you saw this piece, it's not a hooked piece. It could be a hooked piece, but it's done in stitching. And we love that too, because we're fiber artists. It's done in all long stitch, right? It's all long stitch. And then I know, so cute, right? I mean, the face is so cute. And I think the button eyes again, right? Those have got to be button eyes again. But such a cute piece. I thought it really grabbed me. Just the composition, like the portrait of this adorable animal with like this scattering of daisies. It's like such a big, like, brute of an animal, even though it's like a baby with all of these beautiful daisies. Such a beautiful piece. And Deb McIntosh. So I pulled this piece off Facebook. It's a little bit out of focus, but I wanted to show this to you because Deb was working on, Deb says, I finished the Christmas deer on the cover of the December issue of Marshmallow World. So in this picture, Deb was working on, if you remember the current issue, right, until Busy Bees comes out, was in this pattern, this was Judy's pattern, was in the last Magpie Times. And I always wonder, do people do the patterns that are in Magpie Times? Apparently so, because Deb, you did this one. Absolutely beautiful. This is Marshmallow World from the cover of Marshmallow World. And super vintage look. Absolutely beautiful. I'm catching your comments too. Who doesn't want a Highland cow in their pasture? Absolutely. Who doesn't? Only a barbarian, right? We love our Highland cows. This is another really unusual one. This is by Sharon Feneuf, like the number 9. I have done this project on the wrong monk's cloth. It's remarkable to get this far doing it on the wrong monk's cloth. It kept ripping before I could finish it, so I had to take it off my frame. For the life of me, I can't figure out what I should do to even it out. My husband is in the process of making a frame to hang it. So any ideas would be appreciated. Thanks in advance. This conversation is currently on our Facebook page, which is Rug Cooking and Punch Needle Club. Get on there and help Sharon out if you can. I mean, I have to say, I have to give it to her. She used the wrong monk's cloth and she made this. I would say she's obviously destined to do unbelievable work, right? Obviously. I would say I would just mount this on a frame, on a fabric. I would stretch a piece of fabric onto a stretcher frame and mount it on there. I think it's absolutely extraordinary. But it's a testament to, even if something really big goes wrong, you can still push through, right? You can still push through. Be a champ and push through. Sarah Jane Fisher posted this. Oh, looky, I'm done. Got a little tail to trim there on the left, but yay. I changed my mind on a pillow, and I'm stitching a sleeve on the back to hang it as on a dowel, like to hang it up as a wall hanging. She said, taking Deanna's advice from her rug binding videos and trusting the process. That confidence, right? So far, so good. I'm using strips of black and white cotton plaid from an old dress of mine. So I want to show you this. Border close up, right? And I do have a video. I have many videos on doing different kinds of borders, and some of them are like multiple hours. So hey. If you need ideas for different kinds of borders, it's well worth watching, because it's like I do this in crazy detail and it works. It'll get you there. It just depends on what kind of finish you want to put on it. This is absolutely beautiful. And I love this choice of border for such a quirky rug. A stool would be very cool too. So quirky, so cool. Okay, so let me come to Ruth. I want to come to you right here. Ruth. Okay, so Ruth said. Now remember, Ruth is adminning the Wish You Were Here vacation postcard project. So Ruth said, let me read first. Ruth said, I finally finished the version of the postcard mat that I'll use after 3 tries. I did one version with regular yarn after my first fail. I tried the smaller punch needle again and did it well enough to submit it. I'm attaching both. This can happen. This can happen. This does happen. Okay, so let's look at this first. So I get what you mean. So hold on. Let's look at this because this one looks like there's nothing wrong happening here. And Ruth, you've been posting in the Wish You Were Here Facebook group. You have been kind enough to record videos to show your process transferring and doing all of those stages of getting your pattern onto your backing. So if you're a beginner and you're thinking, oh, I'd really like to get involved in that challenge, if you look on the Facebook page, you will find Ruth's videos. She has done a lot to help anybody, even an absolute beginner, get from point A to point B. So just know that that's there. Now hold on, Ruth, because why? Okay, I see what you mean. I mean, I don't see what you mean. This is much smaller, right? This is just much smaller. I don't see anything wrong with this though. So let me compare it over here. I mean, this is glorious. This one's more primitive, but it's the same building for sure. And did you say you punched one of them? The smaller punch needle. Oh, is it like the really small punch needle, like the Russian punch needle? Ruth says, the first one is my regular yarn. The second one is embroidery floss. I see. So this is your regular yarn. It's still super pretty. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. It's still super pretty. It's a great example of a primitive. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. This one has crazy detail. Like Pam says, I love them both, Ruth. It's apples and oranges. It's not even apples and apples, even though it's the same subject. So this is punched with the embroidery floss. Yep, I can see that. So mini punched, Russian punched, right? It has different names, this craft. It's a much finer floss. But you do get much smaller loops and thus more detail. Ruth, absolutely beautiful use of light. The glow in this piece is phenomenal. I mean, this is absolutely gorgeous. They are both beautiful. This one, I mean, I love the primitive quality of this one. I really do. I really, really love this one as well. Apples and oranges. They're both absolutely exquisite. And yeah, these are great examples considering how much you are investing in this group in terms of like helping out with videos, doing admin stuff, getting people going, helping people out and to get involved. These are great examples, and people are sharing what they're working on there, which is very helpful too because it also helps with ideas. A postcard is a small size, and that is enough to put some people off. So don't be put off. Just figure out how to solve problems, right? Sue says Monet and a primitive. Exactly. One is like a Monet, very impressionist style, and the other is a primitive. Totally different styles. Absolutely beautiful. And Ruth, you sent some. This was when you were working on the primitive. Absolutely beautiful. It's small. It's really small. It's a postcard. It's a postcard. Of course, it's small. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm looking for scale at the candle and the punch needle. Those are super, super beautiful. Yes, and I can see what's going on here. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. This is the mini punch, so this is on weaver's cloth, right? This would be on weaver's cloth. You've got it all figured out. Now, did you transfer this like with a light box or something, or did you freehand it? Absolutely beautiful. And, one of the things about mini punch, and I can see that you pulled out and then you put it back in with no problem. You can do that a little bit with mini punch, but you do it too much and you might be in trouble the same way you would be punching into wool. You can do it a little bit, right? And obviously you did do it a little bit, and then you came back with a vengeance and did it perfectly second time. You used a light box. So perfect. Just the basic lines, enough to get you there, right? Absolutely beautiful. And seeing the process is extremely helpful because, again, doing anything that's this small can be tricky, right? We all know that. Absolutely beautiful. Those are beautiful, Ruth. You did a fantastic job. So we've got a couple more for tonight. Jessica. I'm gonna I'm gonna reset because we're gonna move from talking about the Wish You Were Here holiday postcard project that I'm super excited about, and I am hoping to do. I am hoping to participate in that as well. And I'm also hoping to participate in the Caswell carpet project. So the next slide you're seeing of Jessica Troyer's is the Caswell carpet project. So get ready. We are switching gears. 2 different projects, but 2 current projects at Ribbon Candy Hooking, right? So, all right, so here we go. Yep, let me come back. Caswell carpet, right? So we were talking about the Caswell carpet earlier. Let's see, wait a minute. Hang on. Okay. Jessica, you wrote, my personal goal was to finish all 20 blocks on my Caswell inspired rug by the end of February. I had the flu this week and I didn't quite make it, but I made 19 and I'm pretty proud of myself. Are you kidding me? Are you joking? 8 of the blocks were pretty faithful to the patterns. The rest of the blocks I added, subtracted, or straight up designed my own. The turtle lily of the valley block on the right column is all your own. The turtle, tiger lily. Okay, let's look. Wait a minute, let me finish this. Each of these contains a kernel of our family story, and it would take way too long to write it all out here. So, Jessica, maybe we save that for book project, something like that, or Magpie. This has been fun, playful, and a creative project. I've tried and made up new techniques, some that I've liked and some I probably wouldn't do again. I'm planning to use so we'll look at the wool in the second picture in just a second, but I want to focus on this first. So, whoa. Okay. I'm going to stretch this out. This, Jessica, I'm as usual, like, God, you're unbelievable. Like, it's unbelievable creativity here. Like, we've all seen the Caswell carpet blocks at this point, and you can see how for everyone, Jessica has done something either color-wise or design-wise that's different. Some of them are true, and I'm seeing ones on the top that are pretty true to the design, and I am seeing as my eye travels left to, and I love them. I love the whiskers on the blue cat. Blue cat looks crazy, just as a blue cat should, really, right? The one with the 2 characters, that's a really tough block, and you did this extraordinarily well. The one on the far right, it looks like you've done some Prati technique, which is like smashing, absolutely brilliant. The seashell, right? I want to say Melanie seashell, so beautiful. Color-wise, that one's pretty traditional, true, right? The one after that, we won't go through them each one by one, but you definitely introduced the squirrel. The next one that always looks like a Hawaiian teveve to me is pretty traditional. The next bird is pretty traditional, but even like the background is so different. I mean, you've really broken down the background and done some different stuff. The one on the right is one, but you put it into that teapot vase, right? Because that is a weird one that kind of hangs in space. You put it into the teapot vase, absolutely unreal. The 2 birds look pretty true to the pattern, but obviously your own spins. And then the one next to it, that looks very different. I'm seeing shoes. Okay, there's shoes in that one. That is very different. Then the next one that has the bird but wearing a bonnet, right, and a lot of Prati. The next one has a pup. That's got to be your pup, right? But it is one of the traditional designs. You just replaced the centerpiece, which makes perfect sense. The one after that is a totally original design, and why not? The turtle with the tiger lilies. I mean, it absolutely looks like a Caswell block. The one on the bottom left I recognize as pretty true to the design, and the one after that as well. The one after that with the books and the letter with the seal on it. Oh, that is so romantic. That is so romantic, and I love your colors in these. Because Jessica, you still mostly use thrifted stuff, right? Do you have like a big collection of wool right now or yarn? And then the last one, I recognize the 2 flowers, but definitely the introduction of the frogs is something, Jessica. These are just fantastically great. They are so extraordinary. And again, we're all doing our projects differently. We all want to do our projects differently. Jessica, you always have it in you. You have had since day one this strong desire and this drive to do to use this form for personal storytelling, and you have done it in you have done it full blast in such a way, right? I don't know anybody who works like you. You are different than everybody, right? We're all different than everybody. But you came into it as a total beginner, and you immediately started working in your own style. So I mean, that's always so impressive. And you have done things your way from day one, and that's the way to do it, right? That's the way to do it. You get the result. You do pieces that you love, and we end up loving them because we love the play. We love how much you play and your confidence to make these kinds of changes and choices to do these different things. Because, like we said at the beginning of this episode, the product of working on pieces that you love, that you're happy with, that you're designing or that you're altering, whatever. As long as you love that piece, there is joy in that piece, and we can feel it when we look at your work, and it is a joy to behold. So great pieces. Of course, I'm dying to see the final one just for the sake of completion, but very, very fast and very inspired, right? Particularly the changes, right? Making these changes because they are very thoughtful changes. You're not like you're making some like fun changes, but like you're changing. You're giving a teapot vase to an arrangement that doesn't have, and you're keeping the full motif. You're replacing the dog into something that has like just a weird sort of central motif. You're making changes that make sense, right? You kept the flowers, but you added a bunch of shoes. Right? This is all like just super smart. In some cases, you're keeping the entire block and you're just adding other stuff to it. And it's still the block. We recognize it. Such a lot of fun, Jessica. You are really something. You are really something. Like you are working at a level that I am not working at myself. You are working so creatively, and you are like a fireball. I'm so super impressed, and I love these pieces. I love all of the Caswell carpet blocks, and I just love that there's so many of them, and there's so much color, and it makes me more than ever so want to have that exhibit. I don't want to get my heart set on it in case it's a no. Why would it be a no? Who knows, right? Who knows? Someone in charge somewhere, who knows? But I would love it if we could hang our stuff in that house where this rug was made. I mean, that would mean a lot to me. And I'm just so excited that all of you, there's so many people in this episode tonight are doing Caswell Squares in your own way. And that is as it should be. That is as Zorua would want it to be, I am sure. It's just such a lot of fun. I'm so glad that we're doing this together. Jessica says, yes, it is all thrifted wool. I found a bunch of yarn recently, and my mother-in-law had over-dyed a lot of purple, navy, and black for me, which I've used for backgrounds. Fabulous. Yep. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And again, whether you're watching the show and you're interested in getting involved in the Caswell Carpet Challenge or the Wish You Were Here Challenge. Now, the Caswell Carpet Challenge will run for most of the year. We'll check in with each other like in the fall and think about it, and it'll see where we get to with the exhibit in terms of time. But it's an ongoing, right? Whereas the Wish You Were Here, if you want your piece to be in the magazine, the deadline for that will be May 1st. But otherwise, I will leave it up to Ruth and Barbara to decide what the deadlines and what the parameters are for that challenge. So that is more of a short-term challenge, but May is still a long time away to make something this big, right? So just remember that both of those challenges are there for you. Let's see what you got going, little one. You added on the ears. So it looks more like one of those Egyptian things now, doesn't it? You know what I mean? What are those things called? Those Egyptian dog things? Yeah. Yeah. Everybody got excited. And we're all amazed at how fast you can get it out of my face, because if it gives me a paper cut,
it's cardboard.
My mood
not
is going to
paper.
change. I know. All right, Pam, you are on deck. We've got one more tonight. I'm sorry I'm running over, but you can see it's all worth it because these are all such gems. Oh, I just wanted to show you. I'm sorry. Jessica said, I'm planning to use the wool in the second picture, that's this wool, for binding in between the blocks and the borders, just using strips of the darker part with my other black wool, so the mix that she just described. Anubis, thank you, Judy. Anubis. My goal will be to finish the rug this next month, and then I am onto my rose pattern. Oh, I know which one you're doing too. I'm very excited. That's another project we're working on together, the Rose Book. We've always got stuff happening at Ribbon Candy Hooking. That's the thing, isn't it? Because not everybody is into every project that we're doing and every challenge. That's why I like it when there's a lot, because you do what you feel, what you connect to, and what you have time for. You do the things that you love the most. And just know that we're going to keep going. The brand is going to keep going. There's always going to be something. If you don't jump on to the next project because you're tired, or you got something going on, or you feel whatever, you just jump on to the next one that like hits you in the throat, right? You just jump onto that one because there'll always be projects for you. We'll always keep them coming because it's too much fun to spend time together like this, isn't it? Yeah, love the sharing and love the hooking. All right, so finale time. Are you ready? Pam was working on, you remember Molly and Don't Know, the dog? Pam, you are a very fast worker also. And you have gotten a remarkable amount done as well. Now, I put this in right at the end because I came home from my mom's earlier. Let me just pull up my screenshot because I grabbed what you were saying on Facebook. So you remember when Pam started this as a sketch and we saw the photograph of Molly. We saw the scene, right? The scene was a little bit different. I love the composition. Pam, I love the composition that you landed on. This is perfect. It's perfect. I'm getting aggressive. I also love the fact of it being this oval. Are you leaving it that shape? It reminds me of kind of a tray. It has a feminine feel because it reminds me of a painted tray, and it just feels so right for Molly somehow. I love the border as well. I probably asked this before, but are they like gardenias or magnolias, something like that? And of course, the dog is called You Know, right? One word, You Know. Pam, you posted on Facebook, at last, the center of Molly and the You Know rug is done. Believe it or not, it is an oval, but taking a full photo when the rug is sagging on the Shedicombe frame distorts the shape a little bit. Now on to finishing up the border. Target to get this done is the end of March. Oh, you're definitely going to do it. Pam says, yes, it will be an oval, distorted on the Shedicombe. The border is cotton balls. That's right. Of course it's cotton balls. I remember this conversation from last time. This is absolutely unreal. Pam, you are, again, I mean, it's just, Pam, you're a painter. So we know that you know how to do magic things, right? So for me, I'm not a painter. This is magic. But what I can say, being a person who can't do magic, is that this fill, and I know we've said this before, going back to your very first piece, right? This kind of fractured, or it's not cubist, right? It's much more of an impressionist style, but done in a very graphic manner. This breakdown background that you've done in the sky is yours. You designed this, you came up with this, you invented this, you are the creator of that fill. It is so you. It's a little bit in the trees, but it's that sky fill. If I see that, I know it's you. And in the ground, I really like that you did it more strippy, right? Like strips of brown. I like that more for the ground, like all the different colors. It gives you the feel that the dog and the people and the chickens are all scratching on the dirt, and it's made all this like texture, right? All these lines. But in the sky, you maintain this shape that is completely your own, and it's just, it's so great to own something, right? To have something that you instinctively do that is completely your own style and is compatible with any kind of composition you do, whether you're doing just flowers or you're doing a composition with a house and with animals and with a figure, it still works. That is the sign of like a gallery artist, right? I mean, that's something not everybody can do, and that's not even something that I can explain. I can say you're doing it in your sky, and you've done it in all of your pieces. Tara did it with her clouds, the shape of her clouds, right? You just notice things that certain people do from piece to piece, and you even wonder if the person is doing that on purpose or if it's just what comes out, right? If just what comes out, it's like you sing and whatever your voice is, that's what comes out. That's what you get, right? I always wonder that because I don't have this. I don't have like a signature look. So it's always exciting for me to see when people do, right? Because it's a gift. It's a real gift. Let me catch up with the comments here. Breathtaking. It is amazing. Yes. What is the size? Pam says about 20 by 30. The ground around the house was raked and swept. Oh my God, and swept. So it had that kind of pattern. Yeah. Oh my God. So it is so touching. This is just what happens when I hook. Yep. I figured. It's an organic pattern that is part of you. It arises from you. It's completely yours. And that's why it was so upsetting when one of your works was like copied that one time. We won't talk about that. But one of the things that was so upsetting about that was the most jarring part of that experience from my point of view. I know it was much more jarring for you and Tommy. It was awful. But for me, it was very jarring because even the copy of it, that was done too. And I thought, no, 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 you can't peel like stuff like that, right? You can't. This is that's part of this person, right? This part of this person. It's an extension of this person. Veronica says, beautiful. It's very painterly. The sky really pops. Ruth says, awesome. Anxious to see it completed. Me too. And you are right on the threshold. Carol P. Carol, good to see you. Your self-expression is noticeable. Definitely. Judy, you do have a signature look. I could spot your work from a mile away. So true, right? So true. It's just an extraordinary piece. Let me show you one more piece of cuteness before I leave you. I hope it's okay if I show this, Pam. I saw it on Facebook too. It was on one of your posts where you were working on Molly. You showed your buddy. I hope it comes out. You showed your buddy who was helping you out down here, the great helper. So cute. They just love it. They love to find a spot on your work. They all do. They all know. I guess it's like in part, I think the largest part is like that's where your attention is, right? So that's where they want to be. They want to get between whatever is taking your attention and your face. So, they always end up curling up on our work. It was a great show, everybody. You all did incredible work. I mean, you always do. You always do. But today I feel like it was such a different range of work. It was such a variety, and there were so many different styles represented, so many different kinds of pieces. And I felt like we got a lot of practical and technical tips as well as just seeing some beautiful finished work. So amazing. Thank you. Whimsical use of colors is made. It's a lot of people, but thank you. I always I love the stuff that I do more and more, but I don't have a great painterly look or anything like that. But I still love my pieces too. Yep, just catching up on your comments. It was a great show. Love the oval shape as well. Inspiring. It was, Dave, wasn't it? Gotta, Dave, you're still working on your project. Is it a quilt, Dave? You're probably still working on your quilt? Yeah, I mean, that would be a big project too. So, hey, listen, it's Sunday night, so I'll be with you tomorrow. I was going to go back to the dye book, but Rug Cooking Magazine came, so why don't we look at that together tomorrow? I'll be back with you at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will look at, haven't even opened it yet, but we will look at what is going on in Rug Cooking Magazine and what some of the best features are in that issue. We will do that tomorrow morning, not too many hours away. So I will see you all then. They do love to lay on our work. Great show, everybody. Great work, right? Keep it coming. I'm so inspired by everything that everybody is working on, and I'm just so excited for every day, seeing what pops up in the Facebook group and seeing what emails come my way, and just knowing that we're all out there working together and doing what we love, and then we come together and we talk about it and look at it and support each other. What else is there? I will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for coffee time. Have a great sleep.